Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B-show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
I'm on fire, Rich! You were on fire before, and I'm on fire now!
And Rich Craich.
Wonderful Christmas Time?
Yes, it was on earlier today when I was driving home from work.
It's the worst Christmas song that's ever been recorded.
It might be the worst song ever recorded. Rhythmically, it's terrible. The lyrics are awful. It's just everything about that song. Legitimately the dirt. I mean, it might be the worst song ever created.
All right, so we're live. We have a slight technical difficulty with the captain, but you guys should be able to hear me. So I don't know if I'm going to have to power through and do all 3 hours by myself. I don't know if Rich is going to be able to get back up and running here. I also hear a crying baby over there. This kid's starving to death. Let's get a bottle. Let's get this kid fed. But it's not a baby issue. There is some technical issue on Rich's end that he is quickly trying to accommodate here. And that really threw me for a loop. So I'm not quite sure where I go from here. I don't know if I wait it out. I don't know if I start up one of the topics. Why don't we do this? We'll start with the death of Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal. That's probably where we were going to start anyway. We haven't had an obituary in quite a while on the Flagship, which is probably good news, right? You don't want people to die. You don't want to have to do obituaries, but I do enjoy doing them. So it's kind of this weird dichotomy where it's like, hopefully nobody ever dies for the rest of eternity. But obviously that's not the reality. And every now and then someone in the wrestling world will pass away. And, if we have enough knowledge on them, we like to break it down for you. So we will start this show with Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal, who, look, it's funny because whenever we have these obituaries to do, I think I know a lot about somebody. And I'm like, I don't have to prepare for this one. I could talk through this guy's career. But then I go and do the work during the week. And I'm always fascinated with how much more I learn about personalities in wrestling that I thought I knew everything there was to know about. Steve Regal didn't have the longest career. He was only really a full-time pro wrestler for about a decade. He has a pretty straightforward career. I was a kid during, the back end of his career, and I remember reading about him in the After Mags, and I remember watching a lot of his stuff during his brief time with Crockett and his brief time with the WWF and the stuff with the AWA. And I thought I had a pretty good handle on his career. And I could have talked you through his career without brushing up, but just goes to show it's always good to brush up as well, because I learned so much more. And I think it's going to be a much meatier segment because of it. First thing, and I don't know if Rich can hear me, but whenever you're ready, just jump on in, give me a or something, so I know that you're active. But the first thing about Steve Regal is the nickname Mr. Electricity. So I was always under the impression, and I don't remember where I heard this, it was from some former wrestler or person in the business. And I don't know if they were joking around when they said it, but it kind of took on a life of its own. I was always under the impression that the Mr. Electricity nickname was a rib, because the one knock on Steve Regal is that he was a competent enough worker, but he was completely devoid of charisma. So the boys dubbed him Mr. Electricity, kind of as a, like a sly ribbon on the square, and it just stuck. And he used it as his nickname for the rest of his career. Again, I don't know if that's rooted in lore or if there's some reality to that, but it's just something that I had always heard about him. And it's not entirely unfair that Steve Regal didn't have a ton of charisma. He's considered, it's kind of been a running meme for the last 40 years that he's one of the most boring wrestlers of his era. That would be from he wrestled from about the mid-70s until about 1986 full-time. But his prime years probably would have been, and we'll go through his whole career, but this is an overview. His prime years probably would have been when he got to Portland in about 1981 through the end of 1986 when he wrapped things up as a job guy with the WWF. But yeah, he was known as a competent worker who just was completely devoid of charisma. And that doesn't mean he wasn't pushed at various points. He got a huge push in Portland. He got a push in the AWA, teaming with Jimmy Garvin. Those are probably the two most significant pushes of his career. But I think where maybe history has been unfair to Steve Regal, I think he was a better worker than he gets credit for. Like I said, it's been kind of a multi-decade meme that he was one of the most boring and dry and uncharismatic and formulaic and boring workers of his time. But when I went back and watched a lot of his matches this week, listen, there were undoubtedly some matches that'll put you to sleep. He has a match from 1984 against Kurt Hennig in Winnipeg that's on YouTube. It's about 20 minutes long. And it'll put you to sleep. I mean, it's a terribly boring match. Both guys just take turns exchanging extremely long holds. And that's a lot of his work. But there's other stuff, too, where I have to say he was a really dynamic bumper, particularly when he worked heel. You look at, and I think he was also more charismatic as a heel, which isn't hard to do. A lot of guys find it easier to work heel. But
all right, Joe, I am back, and I think you are back, and I think everybody is back now.
All right. Well,
should we just restart? What did you talk about? I apologize to everybody that was listening. All of my USB and Bluetooth devices all stopped working at the same time. I believe everybody heard you for a couple of minutes, and then when I switched back on, it took you off. But now we're all both back. So
when I thought Regal did have more charisma when he worked as a heel. Okay, I will say that, and I thought he bumped all over the place. Maybe some of this will be repeated, but I'll jump in from there. There's a GIF that Matt D tweeted out on Twitter of Steve Regal at the end of his AWA run when Regal and Garvin were about to drop the tag team titles to Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig, a very young and a very green Scott Hall. And Regal is just bumping all over the place for the guy. I mean, to try to make him look good because he was a total pro. And there's a match where he goes to Mid-Atlantic, I think, too, where he was a very good fundamental worker. He just wasn't very exciting. There's a match from Mid-Atlantic, which I would recommend to our good friend Alan 4L and to all the people listening. And I don't know if Alan listens every week, but Alan likes to talk about how in modern wrestling, the workers just aren't as crisp and as detail-oriented and as good from a functional technical standpoint as they used to be. Well, there is an 80-second Rocky King versus Steve Regal match from Mid-Atlantic from Crockett in 86 on YouTube. And I know it's only 80 seconds, but in those 80 seconds, when I watched that match, it's just a squash because Rocky King was a job guy who was part of the regular crew, right? He went on the road. He worked all the TVs. I would compare him to like Serpentico in AEW, where he's on the roster, but he's a job guy. Does that make sense? Is that a good comp? It's maybe like Right now I'm shook that no one's hearing me. So I don't even know if I should.
Everyone's got you. Everyone's got you good. Yeah, you're good. You're good now. We're fine. We're
so
I tried something new.
Forward.
Yeah, I tried something new on the show and it failed everything miserably, so we're good. I'll go back to what we've been doing I tried one different headset than I've used before and it did not go well. So we're back to normal. Right. We're good.
So anyway, he's working Rocky King, a Crockett job guy, and it's just an 80-second match, but I promise you if you guys go look up this 80-second match against Rocky King, you will see what people like myself and Alan are talking about when we say that the wrestlers from that era of pro wrestling were just so much more detail oriented, and how the work was just so much tighter and so much more crisp than what you see today. And that was one of the things that jumped out at me when I not only watched that match, but a bunch of the matches from Steve Regal this week. And the other thing, before we go through his career, is that, a lot of times, Rich, we talk about human beings who seem to be like too good for the wacky world of pro wrestling.
Oh,
it's like,
he's one of them, by the way. Yes.
He is totally one of them because just a little background. I don't know how many people know this. He is married to Wilbur Snyder's daughter. Do you even know that?
I do. Yeah.
So he
actually, I didn't realize he became did you know how he became a wrestler?
Tell people.
Yeah, so I was watching a shoot interview, a little Hannibal TV shoot interview earlier today with Mr. Electricity, Steven Regal. But he said, so the way he started, and this caught everybody by surprise. Everybody that he was talking to by surprise is he said, of course, I'm Wilbur Schneider's, son-in-law or whatever. I'm married to his daughter. And I became a wrestler because, Hannibal or whoever was doing the interview was like, well, how'd you become a wrestler? And he's like, well, it's kind of funny, actually. I built a wrestling ring. And the guy's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I was a contractor. And Wilbur Snyder's my father-in-law. And Wilbur Snyder said, hey, to his daughter, think that son-in-law of yours could build me a wrestling ring? And she said, yeah, sure. So she sent him out there to build a wrestling ring. And basically he built the wrestling ring. And then Wilbur's like, well, you want to run in it? You want to wrestle a little bit? And he's like, ah, sure. So then basically he became a wrestler that way. So like he had no intentions of becoming a pro wrestler. He wasn't a guy who was a devoted fan or my whole life is going to be pro wrestling. He's not a failed athlete. He was just a contractor who happened to be married to Wilbur Snyder's daughter. And Wilbur was like, well, you want to join the business? And he's like, yeah, sure. Why not? And he did. Yeah. And that's it's kind of the through line of Regal's career is going to be that he's a pretty normal guy. And he approaches this wild industry in a pretty normal way that most guys of his era do not. And that's going to inform a lot of the decisions that he's going to make in terms of what territories he goes to. And it's also going to inform why he is kind of a non-factor once you get to like 1988. He's pretty much a non-factor in the national wrestling scene.
Yeah, he made an agreement with because obviously his wife grew up in the business with her father being a pro wrestling star, and he got started in Dick the Bruiser and Wilbur Snyder's promotion in Indiana.
Yeah.
And he and his wife agreed when he started, and he started a little late in his mid-20s, that, look, I'm going to do this till I'm about 35, and then we're just going to be normal people. So this will be a means to an end. I'll see how far I can get and how much money I can make. And if it doesn't work out, I'll stop. And if it does work out, I'll do it till I'm about 35. Because she also knew from being in the business that if you did it much longer than that, you had a very high probability of being a cripple, destroying your body. And aside from one serious shoulder injury that he suffered in Portland that we'll talk about, he got out of wrestling relatively unscathed. And he had that last run with WWF where he was really just a job guy, but he made enough money on that run, that 2 or 3 months with WWF, to put a down payment on a house. And then once he made that money, his wife, said, hey, you're 35 now. And that was it. They put the down payment on their house. He got a job at General Motors. He moved back to Indiana, and they lived happily ever after. And then eventually he retired from his GM job and they moved to Florida.
Yep.
And
yeah, he's doing that shoot interview and the guy's asking, so where are you now? He's like, well, I saved my money well and had some good investments and I'm on a beach in Florida. And it's like, man, what a level-headed normal guy. He's like, yeah. And had no regrets about the business either. And what's funny too is in that shoot interview, like he didn't really keep up with a whole lot of what was going on either. Like he's talking about Matt Bourne, like the conversation comes to Matt Bourne and the guy's like, yeah, so what was it like to, work with Matt? And he puts over Matt Bourne. He goes, I don't know, what's Matt Bourne up to these days? And the other guys, like the interviewers, like how do I tell, Regal that Matt Bourne is no longer with us? And he gets it eventually. He goes, oh, wait, Matt died, didn't he? Man, yeah, he was a nice guy. He was a great guy. But it was like this guy who just, like you said, at 35 or whatever, said, all right, I'm done. I've done this wrestling thing. I made a good amount of money when the territorial system was the way it was. And he even says that too. He's like, I don't know that I could make the money that I was making the way that things were going. By 1988, if you didn't work for Vince or you didn't work for Crockett, you weren't going to make any money. So not only that, but I didn't want to be in the industry anymore. I decided I was done. So yeah, it was a very, I was kind of surprised in the shoot interview how level-headed and how normal and how down to earth he was. And I knew that was always the case, but then watching this really kind of reaffirmed that. A guy who, got out of it and just kind of lived a normal life and never really worried or never really thought, I could have done this, or I would have made it to this, or if I just got this break here or that break here. He didn't seem to care about any of that. He talks a lot about the territories that he moved to and why he moved to the certain territories when he did, and it was almost all financial. Like you said, the WWF, well, I didn't really want to go to New York, but you made good money in New York, so I went to New York for 6 months. It's like, that's it. I went to, and a lot of times he'll say, I went to this territory because I could be close to home. I went to this territory because the travel was okay. And I went to this territory because I knew I could make a good amount of money for a year, but then I didn't want to do the travel for that much longer. So I made it just a year. And it was like, wow, this is a very interesting, wrestler in a lot of ways, because a normal dude. Like, he was really like listening to a normal human being, which is very rare in this industry.
He knew once Vince raided the AWA that it was on its way down, and Jesse Ventura wanted him to come with him to the WWF in '84. But he balked. He said, I don't know. Vince doesn't like smaller guys, and the timing doesn't feel right. And he didn't go. And then he did have some more good years after that before eventually landing there in '86. And when he got there in '86, like I said, that was his last run. And even as a job guy, he said he made enough to put a down payment on his house. The other thing about him is he was a family man. He had kids already when he got into it. He brought his family with him to every territory. He moved his family around, and they would just live wherever he was working. So he didn't party. He didn't do drugs. He wasn't out there living that lifestyle. He would go, he would work his match and he'd go home. He'd go home to his family, which again is just a normal guy in the wacky business of pro wrestling, which is the outlier, and it's almost like, and then, it all came together in '86 when he had the run with the WWF. He had just turned 35 and he had saved his money. Like you mentioned, he saved his money. He makes it a point to talk about how much
it's not what you earn, it's what you save.
Right. And they would live in like little 2-bedroom apartments in whatever territory they lived in. He would save his money. And, he made that deal with his wife, and they had money saved. They had the down payment for the house. He had turned 35. He said, that's it, I'm done. I'm out of here. And it was very clear that Vince was never going to push him, because he was 6 foot, 200 pounds at the worst time in history to be 6 foot, 200 pounds in the WWF. And the writing was on the wall. He was being used as a television jobber. He was in the Rocky King role, but in the WWF. He was a guy on the roster who went on the road, who when they got to TV, he was used as an already in the ring preliminary wrestler. Right. So he knew, but he also knew it was the best money he ever made. So he had mentioned in one of the things I heard that he was on the road at one point for 91 straight days. And that was the only territory where he didn't bring his family, because there was nowhere to bring them because they were national. Yeah. So they were just in Indiana. And he said, this is no life. I'm not going to be on the road for 3 straight months and not see my family. So I'm going to finish this loop, and I've got my money and I'm out of here. And that guy never looked back. All he did after that was work in your neck of the woods because it was local. He became a weekend warrior and worked for Windy City Wrestling sporadically, into the 90s, as a hobby at that point. It wasn't for any serious money, just doing some independent wrestling for a promoter he knew, basically. So, you want to go through his career now?
Yeah,
so
real quick, and then we can go through his career. I wanted to, because my exact point when I was coming to the show was the one that you made a little bit earlier, is I always knew this guy as a boring wrestler. Mr. Electricity, ha ha ha, he's boring. He just sits in the ring and headlocks and takes all, and that's kind of the reputation that he had for a lot of years. And I kind of just assume that was his reputation. I saw him a little bit, and I kind of always said, yeah, Steve Regal, he's kind of boring or whatever. I miss her electricity, ha ha ha. But recently I started watching a lot, even before we knew that he passed away. The WWE Vault, or I guess specifically the WCW Vault YouTube account, was posting all those Great American Bash house shows over the summer. I don't know if you remember, they were just posting a bunch of them up there. And I started watching a lot of them. And I was watching a lot of the Denny Brown. I mean, almost every one of those opened with a Denny Brown Steve Regal match. And a lot of them went time limits.
For the NWA junior title.
Yep. And they either switched titles or they went to time limits. It was like every match was either a time limit or a title switch or whatever. And it was, so I was watching a lot of them. And when I got done watching, 3 of them or whatever, and then watched a couple of other matches just to see, am I dreaming, or is this guy actually pretty good? I left with the idea that, no, I think Steve Regal's actually pretty good. And I don't know if that just says more about what I enjoy in wrestling in 2025. You kind of brought it up at the fundamentals, the little things, like stuff that I may not have appreciated 10 years ago, stuff I may not have appreciated 9 years ago, or 5 years ago, I should say, that I do appreciate a little bit more now. That, I don't know, because I came away with saying that Steve Regal guy's a pretty good worker, and he doesn't have the reputation of being a great worker. And I don't know if that's fair.
No. Well, I think it's a combination. Here's what I think it is, because we had the same takeaway watching his stuff. I think that it's the lack of standards and attention to detail in today's wrestling. And we watch so much modern wrestling that when you go back and watch wrestling from that era, where you had to be good or they wouldn't book you in a place like Crockett. You couldn't get booked in 1986 Crockett if you weren't any good, okay? And I think when you go back and watch this stuff, like that stupid 80-second match against Rocky King, where I was like taken aback at how good they were. I'm watching that match, and these are two prelim guys who never had reputations for being great workers. And my takeaway was they are better at the fundamentals and the little things, and they have higher standards than 90% of the wrestlers on TV today. And I'm not trying to sound like old guy lamenting the loss of the past. It's just the truth. If you go watch that match, you see exactly what I'm talking about.
It's true, yeah.
It's just so, and it's only 80 seconds long. And again, it's two prelim guys. So I think that's what it is. But I think if you put Steve Regal in the context of the other stars of his era, that's where he comes across as lesser than. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I get that. And that's not fair, because he's a prelim guy. He's a junior. He's a prelim guy. He's an opener. But I think he's perfect for that role. I watched a bunch of Buck Zumoff, don't Google him, matches. And those are like, they're basic, they're not the super dynamic, you might think juniors and think, oh, juniors or whatever. But in that era, junior just kind of meant small guy, you know what I mean? And they worked a very technical style most of the time. Very few of them were very high flyers or very dynamic. It was more ground-based and technical or whatever. But, you watch those matches and it's like, yeah, it's exactly what you would want on a wrestling show. It's 15 minutes. Regal's a heel during most of the ones that I saw, and he does really good heel work. And I don't know. It's just,
he's better as a heel.
For sure. Oh, yeah. He had no good babyface charisma.
I've heard him say, too, that he feels the best matches of his career were against Buck Zumoff. So
yeah, they were good. Yeah, and it's funny, in that one shoot interview, he goes like, Buck, he wasn't a very good worker, but I don't know, we had some pretty good matches together, like in the nicest way possible. He's like, yeah, he wasn't that good, but like we knew what to do, and we went out there and we figured it out. We had a nice little format down, and we figured out how to have pretty good matches, and they did, because I watched like 3 or 4 of those Buck Zumoff Steve Regal matches, and they were all pretty good. But he did say, yeah, I knew he liked ladies, but I didn't know he liked them that young.
So this was after all the Zumoff stuff happened.
Yes. The guy's like, so did you have any suspicion that Buck was the way he was? And he was like, I mean, he liked women, but I just didn't know he liked, that kind of women or whatever. So
trying to just stay out.
But he said it. He actually had a good take on it. He goes, you know what? We all pay for our sins, and he's in jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And then moved on, and then just said, yeah, whatever. It wasn't like, I don't know about that. Hey, we all chase chicks or whatever. He just kind of, like you said, a family man, a normal human being that just said, you know what? A
normal human being.
You know what? I used to be on the road with him. I wouldn't consider him a friend. I consider him a colleague, and he's going to pay for the rest of his life for his sins. The end. And just moved on,
Yeah. I think the theme of this is a normal human being.
Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal, a normal human. Yeah.
I heard him tell a story how he was on the road with, I want to say it was Brett Sawyer in Portland, and Brett was 18 or 19, just getting started in the business, and they were and a car full of women spotted them on the highway, and were flagging them down to get their attention. And Sawyer's like, oh, you got to pull over. Steve, you got to pull over. And he's like, nah, we got to get back home. I was at the end of the loop or whatever. And they're going home. He's like, I got to get home, my family. And then car pulls up and now they got their tops off and they're like showing their tits.
That's hard to pass up. I might be with Brett on that one, but
and Sawyer's like, come on,
look at the tits. Look at him.
You got to pull over.
Right.
And then he was unrelenting. He's like, we got to get home. And then finally the car speeds up and passes them again. And two of the women are buck naked with their legs spread, with their legs hanging out the window. And
my God.
And Regal goes,
that's not safe. I gotta say, I gotta just jump in. That is not safe driving. Do not, if you're listening to this, please do not do that on the road. Be a safer driver than that.
And then he says, Sawyer just looks at him and Regal goes, all right, I'm gonna pull over. And then he pulls over. And
I can't resist.
He said, he just sat, like he claims he just sat in the car and had a smoke with two of the ladies, right? And because he was doing his whole family man routine on the interview I was listening to.
Yeah.
And he says Sawyer went off and he goes, he wasn't gone very long, but he went off with the other two. And and then we were back on the road and on our way. So that was a really fun.
Again, he's a human. He is human, and he just couldn't resist the temptation. It's there, and he's like, all right, fine, fuck it.
Yeah. But so anyway, he gets started obviously in his father-in-law's promotion in Indiana as an underneath guy, and I guess Vern was using them a little bit during that time too with the proximity and everything. Mm-hmm. And that would have been in the mid to late 70s, and then he gets he first travels to Georgia in 78, which is important because again, he wasn't pushed hard or anything like that, but that's where he met Paul Ellering, and that will become important later on as we move through his career. Because he made friends with Ellering and those guys became tight, and that would become a key to one of the most important moments of Regal's career. So from there, he ends up where a lot of undersized guys with his look would end up. He went to Memphis, right? So he spent a lot of time in Memphis throughout his career, and that's where he landed in 79, 80, and teaming with like Spike Huber, and doing a lot of tag team stuff and things like that in Memphis before he ended up in Portland in 81, which is where he got the most significant push of his career. And really, when you think about it, a lot like Memphis, Portland was perfect for him because Portland was another territory where size wasn't important at all. Plus, he had the right working style and look.
Yeah.
That's a Portland. Steve Regal is a
Portland
ass
dude. Yes, that is Portland. The Portland territory. That's your guy right there. A young Matt Bourne, Steve Regal, like that. Those are your Portland guys for sure.
And you could just see him having good matches with Buddy Rose.
Yeah,
I mean, they just he's like the perfect style for that territory.
Yeah, longer matches too. We've watched a lot of Portland in my Tour of the Territory series on Flagship Patreon.com.
That year too, right? Is what year
83. We're doing 83. So we're a little so he's not there in 83, but Hennig is there and he's really good, and Buddy Rose is obviously there and he's really good, and we're Dynamite Kid. We're seeing some of his stuff as well. There's a bunch of really good workers in Portland, but what you can really notice with Portland versus the other territories, you're not getting job matches. You're not getting you go watch Georgia and it's like, all right, here's King Kong Bundy and he's going to squash somebody in 15 seconds, or here's Jake Roberts and he's going to basically have this guy beaten, but he's going to play with his food for a little bit, but then he'll have him beaten in 5 minutes or whatever. So you'll have 7 matches and 5 of them are just squashes. Portland, like most episodes of Portland that we've watched, is like there's 2 or 3 matches because each of those matches are going 10 plus. 15. You're going to get a 20-minute time limit draw. You're going to get a 30-minute time limit draw on some of these, and that's perfect for somebody like Steve Regal, who just excelled at like the 10 to 15 to 20-minute match.
Yeah, and he was working babyface there and feuding with Buddy Rose, teaming with Roddy Piper, which was and business was good in Portland in 81. He said that in Portland in 81, he was working on top and he was making about $1,200 a week. So you're looking at about $5,000 a month in 1981, which, I mean, $5,000 a month right now is a nice middle class
right,
income.
I'll take that now.
Okay. So in 1981, $5,000 a month. And like I said, he moved his family out there. They're living in a little 2-bedroom apartment. So they're not spending it helped that he had a wife who understood the business. Save money, don't get hurt, and let's get the fuck out, while you're still a young man. So that was the goal. So it was the best money he was making in his career at that point because Don Owen was just such a great payoff man, particularly for the size of the houses they were doing and the size of the territory. It's very clear that you hear anyone talk about Don Owen, he was clearly paying the largest percentage of his gates to the boys out of any of the major territories. For him to be making that kind of money on top when they're basically running a bowling alley once a week, and then, the loop, of course.
Yeah, and they had an interesting loop too, because they worked. I mean, their loop was every single day. And, I initially, when I was doing the Tour of the Territory series, they were going over the loop and I'm like, oh my God, look at the travel for this. But when you really look at the travel of it, because they're bouncing between Oregon and Washington and all, and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're all over the place. But then when you really map it out, it's not very long. And Regal talked about that. He said one of the things he loved about Portland was every town was basically 40 to 50 minutes away from from it. So he said the cool thing was I would, kiss my kids good night at 4 p.m. I'd drive to the town. I'd work. I'd drive home. I'd be home by midnight. I'd be in bed by midnight most nights. He's like, that you can't beat that in the territory. And he said, you'd work 5 days a week, but you'd almost always be able to be home that night or see your kids during the day. And he paid off well. So he loved his time in Portland for that exact reason.
Loved it. It was perfect for a guy like him who wanted to see his family and could be home practically every night. And he was making more money than he had, because obviously you make nothing in Memphis, even if you're Jerry Lawler. Unless you're Lawler or Dundee, you're making nothing.
Or Jerry Jarrett, of course.
in 1980 Memphis, you're making nothing. And obviously he was an underneath guy before that in the places that he bounced around from. So he's getting a main event push here. He was the champion. I mean, he made it all the way to winning the Pacific Northwest title. And then towards the end of the year, he injures his shoulder. And to cover for it in kayfabe on TV, they claimed it was from a Mike Masters full Nelson that put him out of commission with this injured shoulder. And he told Don Owen, he said, look, I can't bump, I can't work. He goes, I understand I'm the champion. I'm sorry. It's going to be several months. I promise I'll come back, but I can't work. And Don Owen told him, he was paying him while he was hurt. Wow. Again, speaking to Don Owen, the person, right? The other thing with Don Owen, though, too, is you have to remember he made millions outside of wrestling. So he could afford to maybe be a little more generous to the crew than some other guy. Didn't he have like a cattle business and all this other
he had a bunch of, he was just he was like a local businessman in a lot of ways. There was a cattle business side. There was something else too. I thought real estate or something like that. But he
had money outside of wrestling.
He had a diversified portfolio beyond many other wrestling promoters that did not.
So he took care of guys, and he was, it was unheard of to get paid while you were hurt and not able to work, but he was paying them. And Regal told him, look, I promise you I'll come back and I'll do whatever you need me to do. Because Regal also, no ego. Like it was all about the money for him. It didn't matter whether he's getting pushed or not. Like you said, he would just go wherever the money was better and whatever the situation was for him.
Turkey farmer. Thank you, Verb Abrams. Turkey farmer was Don Owens.
I knew it was some kind of animal.
Yeah, turkey farmer. That's good business. Yeah.
So anyway, so Owen was like, listen, you're a family man and a stand-up guy. I trust you. He goes, you come back when you're ready. And that's what Regal did. And he returned to the territory in, I guess, early 82, right? And
right around there.
Now here's where things get interesting, because he comes back. And Buddy Rose, who he had gotten along great with, he liked Buddy Rose. Buddy Rose treated him well when he came in. They had great matches together. He thinks Buddy Rose, well, he doesn't think. There's speculation that Buddy Rose was hot at him for not dropping the title in the ring. Doing business the right way, right? So he vacates the title, comes back, and there's a promo out there a TV promo where Buddy Rose he's working a little stiff in the promo. He's going after Regal pretty hard. Now Rose is a heel, and he's keeping it all within the bounds of kayfabe, but it's walking the line. He's talking about how he was too cowardly to defend his title in the ring, and we all know he's really not hurt as bad as he says he is, and he just wanted to go home for Christmas and all of this shit.
Right? Hitting a little too close to home. Yeah.
Yes, and then later in the show, because obviously naturally when he came back, they put him back in a program at Rose, right? So later in the show, it's Regal's turn on the mic, and he's working a little stiff, right? So he's countering. He's like, I saw 3 different doctors for my shoulder, and this was a legitimate, and Mike Masters, I'm coming for you for my revenge, working the kayfabe. And then he goes, and Buddy Rose, you fat blob piece of garbage, if you you're talking about me, like you don't have any guts, and then he's like talking about all the matches that he beat Buddy Rose in and everything. But the promos were they were
it used to be better, man. You know? Oh my God.
You fat blob piece of garbage. And that's verbatim, by the way. That's verbatim. And so, you know, I heard Jim Valley asked him directly about those promos, because Jim Valley, you know, grew up out there and was, you know, Portland guy. He watched all this.
Of course. Oh yeah.
And he did that Portland podcast on Figure 4 Observer and everything. And he asked me, he remembered he asked him about those promos. And I was waiting for Regal to debunk it, but he didn't. He kind of just danced around it, you know? He's like, well, you know, I had to go home with the shoulder injury. I couldn't bump anymore, and Don paid me, and I came back. And I don't know what maybe Buddy was upset. I don't know. He kind of blew it off, which to me kind of confirms that they were shooting on each other, you know, because that's wrestling. You know, I'm sure Buddy Rose was annoyed that the guy just vacated the belt without losing it. You know, it's and Regal even said, he said, I didn't see the point in getting in there with a shoulder and doing some 30-second match where I'm getting a roll up or something. He goes, what's the point of that? Why don't I go home and get healed and then come back when I can work, and I'll put over everybody on the crew. I don't care. He's like, but what sense did it make to work hurt? Now, did he just want to go to Indiana for Christmas? Was the injury not as bad as I mean, who knows? They're all pro wrestlers. They're all workers. We could talk about what a great family man he was all we want, but who knows, right? I mean, he could have just wanted to.
No clue.
Rose could have been right.
Yeah,
you know? Who knows if he didn't fuck those girls with Brett Sawyer on the side of the road? He says he didn't. But, you know, like you said, every man, you know, it's the old Chris Rock bit. A man is as faithful as his options, right? So who knows? When you got women with their legs spread outside of a car window, every man has a weak moment. But yeah, so that was his Portland run, which was really the biggest push he ever got in his life in terms of working on top, and he was making that big money and everything. And then that finished up, and, you know, he bounced around a lot of the territories. I mean, he worked Central States for a while where there's no money, especially at that time. You know, you're working Bulldog Bob Brower and Rufus R. Jones, not the good one, and all these other guys. And
yeah, those matches probably all stunk. I didn't watch any of those.
That was a terrible territory.
I hated that territory.
That was an awful territory. I mean, that's really before
even the main events. I didn't even like the main event because I'm not a big Harley
all those
race
old
guy.
Guys who couldn't work.
Yeah. And then, you know,
I'm not even talking about Harley. I'm talking about
the other dudes.
Yeah, it's like, you know, Bulldog Bob Brower is awful. You can't watch his match. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's kind of before that place really cratered, but it was never considered a good working territory. But really, he just went back to Memphis. It's like Memphis and Portland were the perfect places for him, to me. And I think it was wise of him to spend a lot of time, or most of his time, in those two territories during the meat of his career when he was on the come up, while bouncing around. And, you know, he always worked for his father-in-law when he was back home, and Vern was always there to work for. In fact, in '84 is when he went to the AWA full time, and I guess it's a good time to jump into to that part of his career. So in '84 he goes to the AWA, and this is that period we talked about earlier where Ventura tried to lobby him to come to the WWF with him, because they were in a brief tag team with one another, and that's when he was having all those light heavyweight title matches against Buck Zumhoff during that era, in the '84 AWA. And then, but he chose to stay behind, even though, you know, he knew that Vern was going down. And like everybody else, he talks about how stubborn Vern was and didn't want to be conservative, didn't even attempt to change with the times. Even when his son was telling him that they needed to make changes and all those things. You've heard all those stories a million times from a million other guys. And then he was kind of just meandering around the mid-card. He had that series of matches with a young Kurt Hennig. There's the one on YouTube from Winnipeg. I can't recommend it. It's a very boring match.
Yeah, it's not great.
But, I mean, I'll watch any old wrestling for historical purposes, you know, but can I sit here and tell you that it's anything other than like a 2-star match? I can't. You know, the work is competent, but it's just a very boring match, you know, and that's where Regal kind of gets his reputation. He is a heel at that time, and typically he's stronger as a heel, but '84 was really a lot of junior heavyweight title stuff, and working underneath when he was in there, with heavyweights. But 85 is where they put together the team with Jimmy Garvin. And he has a much stronger year in 85 from a push standpoint once he gets past the light heavyweight title stuff with Zumhoff and starts teaming with Jimmy Garvin. And this is where that relationship that he forged with Paul Ellering comes into play, because the Road Warriors were the tag team champions and they were on their way to Crockett. Okay, now you had the whole Pro Wrestling USA thing around that time, and they were all kind of working together to try to band together against Vince. But the reality was Dusty wanted the Road Warriors, and he was going to pay them more than Vern could, and they were on their way out.
Right.
So,
that Pro Wrestling USA thing, and I wrote about that. I have a long article about that from about a year or so ago at flagshippatreon.com if you want to just type in Pro Wrestling USA. A good idea on its face, like a good idea on paper is, oh yeah, well, Vince is going to kill us all, so we have to band together. But they're wrestling promoters, so pretty much after the first show, everyone's mad at each other, and Crockett's trying to take all the top talent because Crockett had the most money. And so everyone's like, wait a minute, are you just using these to scout and talk to our guys? And Crockett's like, no. I mean, I am going to sign like half of your top guys if that's okay. And it was like, they just realized it wasn't. And then it kind of, then they argued about houses and the money, and it was just a fucking disaster from day one. And it lasted a little bit, but it basically after the first show, it was already off to a very, very poor start and was never going to get back on track. Because these are wrestling promoters. And yeah, it sounds all well and good to say, let's put all of our bullshit aside and let's team up to take out Vince. But they're mid-80s wrestling promoters. They're not going to play nice and play fair, and they didn't.
Because they never had to play nice with each other, and they never had to behave this way before. They were all out for themselves.
So Crockett was like, wait, I have more money, and those guys rule. Here's some money. Come to my territory. And guess what? They said, oh, hey, Vern, that guy's got money, and we're going to go to his territory. And they did.
Yeah, so the Road Warriors were on their way to Crockett, but they had to drop the belts. Now the money feud for Vern was not the Road Warriors versus Garvin and Regal. The money feud for Vern was the Road Warriors versus the Freebirds, or at least he thought, right? That's who he was going to have face each other on all the big shows, when they did baseball stadiums, when they did the Pro Wrestling USA shows and things like that. But he had to get the titles off of the Road Warriors, and because they were such big stars, and because they would, they threw their weight around and whatnot, they sort of had a hand in picking who was going to take these titles off of them. And they liked Regal because Regal was friends with Ellering, and then through Ellering, Regal became friends with the Road Warriors. So they handpicked Garvin and Regal to be the team to take the titles off of them. And if you go back and watch that match, the Freebirds cost the Road Warriors the titles.
Yes.
Right.
And it's available on YouTube, by the way. The match we're talking about is available on YouTube. Very easy to find.
Yeah. So the Freebirds come out, and there's a brawl. And then while the referee's distracted, Michael Hayes comes off the top, and Garvin and Regal win the belts. And then the Road Warriors, just whatever dates they had left with Vern, were spent working the Freebirds, and Garvin and Hayes. Easy mistake, though, right?
A very easy mistake to make, yeah. But no, Jimmy Garvin, a member of the Freebirds, and eventually, not at this time. And Steve Regal is the tag team. So that in my head, I was like, wait, the timeline's all mixed up, and I realized, oh yeah, Jimmy Garvin wasn't technically a part of the Freebirds at this exact.
No. This is still the OG Freebirds. This is 85.
Right.
So you still got Buddy Roberts, and Road Warriors split off the feud with the Freebirds, and then Garvin and Regal are the tag team champs, and they're wrestling teams like the Fabulous Ones, Kurt Hennig and Greg Gagne. Regal's still the light heavyweight champ, by the way, at this time, so he's like a double champion. And then that sort of turns into this feud with the two young wrestlers, Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall, and that's eventually who they drop the tag team titles to in early '86. Now, was that a phantom title change in Albuquerque, New Mexico? Because I can't remember. For some reason, I'm thinking that's a phantom. Can we find that out, or if someone in the chat knows?
Yeah, I'll try to double check. There's a lot, as I'm finding out in the territory days, a lot more phantom title changes than you think. There's a couple of Memphis ones that I've discovered in 1983 through just following along with the territory.
I only say because it's weird that Vern ran this random show in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yes, that's usually the good tell is they claimed that Jerry Lawler dropped the whatever the Memphis title, I forget what it was at that time or whatever, dropped it in a Memphis show in Chicago. And I was like, Memphis didn't run fucking Chicago. What are they talking about? So it's one of that's a good tell is that why would Vern, and unless like at that time they were running that town regularly, but that's a good town to say, you know what, we'll just say you lost it in Albuquerque. Like no one's going to know. No one from Albuquerque is going to be in Minneapolis to know.
He's going to even know that they're claiming that.
Right. So,
I remember that being a phantom change. So I think I'm almost positive that was a phantom title change for Hennig and Hall. But at any rate, that's it for Regal because at that point he's leaving the territory because now the houses are so bad now. When they won the titles from the Road Warriors in, I think that was St. Paul Civic Center.
Here, Joe, I can give you some credence. It was a one-match show, apparently. In Albuquerque.
No, I'm telling you, it's a phantom change.
It's got to be. It has to be.
But I can tell you that when they won the titles from the Road Warriors at the St. Paul Civic Center, there's a pretty famous Rick Martel Jumbo Saruta match on that show.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Which is a match that's on tape that is highly regarded, and I think that show only drew 5,000 or 6,000 fans. So he saw that the territory was on the way down, and in '86 he gives notice. They do the Phantom switch. It's a shame that Hennig and Hall they never really got the true payoff after feuding with those guys to beat them for the titles. And now that I'm looking on Wikipedia, it was in fact a Phantom title switch.
Okay.
So there you go. Here's what Wikipedia says. Live event in Albuquerque. In the notes, Phantom match said to have occurred to cover for Regal leaving the company while still champ. So there you go. It's exactly as I remembered. Regal gave notice, and for whatever reason, maybe he didn't give notice. Maybe he just. But the thing is, here's the thing. He didn't go right to Crockett. He did a few months in World Class first.
Yes.
And I don't think that he just would have, especially with the relationship that he had with Vern, I don't think he just would have left him high and dry for Texas. Now, if it were for Vince and Vince was like, I need you next week, sorry, Vern, but I'm going to make $10,000 a month now. I have to go. You know what I mean? But World Class in '86, they were in the same sort of despair that Vern was.
Yeah, they were no better.
I don't think that. So I don't know. I feel like that was probably a situation where he put in notice and Vern just dropped the ball and never had him lose it in the ring. Which would have been, he's trying to build Curt Hennig and Scott Hall. Curt Hennig would be world champion later that year. And you'd think you'd want to get on tape them winning the tag team titles from Garvin and Regal, but that's not the way it happened. So a couple months later, he pops up in World Class, has a pretty nondescript run, which wraps up at the Texas Stadium show in May of '86, where he wrestles Brian Adias in the mid-card. So he never really got any higher. He worked as a heel. He worked against whatever Von Erichs were still breathing and Brian Adias and people like that. And never really got past the mid-card. And that's when Dusty brought him in. That's when Dusty brought him into Crockett. And if the Road Warrior title win was the biggest moment of Steve Regal's career, and I think we could probably agree that it was, and if Portland was the biggest push of his career, which undoubtedly it was, right? It's the only place he worked on top, then I think it's fair to say that Crockett was the most high-profile work of his career because it was national TV, and even though he was an underneath guy and he wasn't pushed at all, that's where most people who were at least alive at the time remember seeing him the most, was when he was working on TBS in 1986 during the heart of the peak of Jim Crockett Promotions.
Absolutely.
In terms of being the hot territory and all those things. And yeah, like you said, he worked a lot of those Great American Bash shows against Denny Brown. Almost every opener was Denny Brown versus Steve Regal, trading that junior title back and forth. They tried the Jimmy Garvin team because I don't think I can underrate how big that match was for Garvin and Regal, because beating the Road Warriors at that point in time in 1985 and winning titles off of them, it was all over the Apter mags. I'm a little kid at that point. I don't even think we have AWA on TV, but we were all talking about it like at the bus stop. Regal and Garvin, they beat the Road Warriors. And you have to remember, too, during that time,
the AWA had those Remco action figures. And me and all my friends, we had the dopey Jimmy Garvin, Steve Regal tag team set.
Yeah.
Like he was.
I had my hand on that. Honestly, it was like a couple of months ago. There was a like a vintage thing right across the street from my house, and there's a figure stand there, and they had the combo, the Steve Regal, Jimmy Garvin, Remco in the box too. And I was like, damn, it was a little too expensive for me, and I'm not that much of a figure guy, but I'm really kicking myself now because I'm like, shit, I should just bought that. Why not? Like,
gotta be his own. That's got to be his only action.
Yeah, I would assume. I don't
think anyone's even making retro. I mean, not even Matt Cardona is making retro Steve Regal figures.
No.
So, it's But yeah, so they were that was the biggest moment of his career, and the Aftermags wrote a million stories about Garvin and Regal beating the Road Warriors, and we talk about it all the time. Certain guys would get a push in the Aftermags, and that Regal Garvin tag team got an Aftermag push off of that win. So he got a ton of notoriety off that. So yeah, he goes to Crockett and he's working at, again, junior heavyweight stuff, but probably making excellent money. And they did dabble with the Garvin team. There's a couple squashes on TV that you can find on YouTube to this day. He does a couple months there, but it's one of those runs that felt like it was a lot longer than it was because it happened in such a special time and place, and he was constantly on TV. Every time you turn around, Steve Regal's working a TV match. So whether he's teaming with Garvin or, facing Denny Brown or whatever the case may be. So that was his best exposure, and really that run was 4 or 5 months tops. So he finally goes to the WWF. He's winding down. He's getting close to that 35 and that deal he made with his wife. And he goes to the WWF, and we kind of talked about that run already. He wasn't pushed at all. I mean, he went on the road, and he was one of those jobbers that went on the road. He was in that SD Jones, Steve Lombardi class of guy, Jimmy Jack Funk, like those types, where they would go on the road and work prelims, and they were full-time guys on the crew who were making a lot of money because they were on the road. But when it came time to doing the TV tapings, they'd be the guy already in the ring and they would lose. And it was always funny as a kid because I would see Steve Regal in the WWF. I would see Pez Whatley a couple years later in the WWF as jobbers. And as a kid, it confused me. I was like, what? These guys are good. Like I see them win when they wrestle on TBS. And now they're I didn't know the term jobber at that time. Whatever I called those guys at that time, scrub. I think I called them scrubs.
Yeah. What happened? This man had all the momentum in the world, and now he just can't win. He can't win.
I'm thinking to myself, this man was an NWA junior heavyweight champion.
What happened?
And now he's losing in 90 seconds, to Dick Slater. What's happening here? But what did you call jobbers in your neighborhood when you were a kid? Or was the internet around already? So you already
the internet had sort of the idea of a job guy was kind of, by the time I really started becoming a fan, it was pretty much a lost art at that point. I mean, I really, I'm watching a little bit in 94 and a little bit in 95, but it's really like 96, 97 that I really start getting heavy into it. And by that point, you're really not getting that. On Raw, you're just getting like Ahmed Johnson versus Triple H or whatever. You're not getting, by 95, it really started to wind down. With the jobbers, and Nitro pretty much had no jobber matches, and even the guys that you would quote unquote consider jobbers were like respected veterans. WCW would do that a lot. Your Bobby Eaton types and those kind of guys, and they weren't treated like jobbers either. It was like, oh hey, here's like Bobby Eaton was one of them. Who am I trying to think of? Who's the other guy? Who's one half of the Beverly Brothers? Mike Enos.
Oh, Mike Enos.
Yeah, he would always show up, and you're like, that guy is a brick shit house. Like that guy ain't no jobber, right? And then he'd have a competitive. He'd lose every match, but he'd have a competitive match with the guy. So
you were out of the jobber.
Yeah, the days of like
syndicated shows.
Right. The days of watching Raw and Rock and Roll Buck Zumoff is sitting waiting in the ring for his 45 second for Shawn Michaels to kick him in the face. Like those are those days are pretty much long gone at that point. Barry Horowitz was like the last one I remember, and I only think I knew the term jobber because that was like the storyline, is that Jerry Lawler would call him a jobber. Oh, you're nothing but a jobber or whatever, and then he beats Skip or whatever, and that whole
beat Candido,
but that whole that was really the tail end of jobber matches, and they pretty much didn't exist after that.
Yeah, because when I would see guys like Steve Regal on in obvious jobber situations. As a kid, I'd root for them because I'm like, he can do it. Like, he's good. Like, I know this guy.
I've seen it. He's good.
Like he wasn't one of the nameless, pasty-looking, shitty guys. Like, he's someone who whenever it was someone like him or, Pez Watley's another example, I'd be like, even if it was someone I had never seen before, but I read about in the magazines being pushed somewhere else. I'm like, I know that name. Wait, I've seen that guy in the magazines. He's good. I'd be like, King Kong Bundy better watch out here because
I don't think he's going to get the 5 count on him because I've seen Pistol Pez Watley and he's a hell of a worker. So yeah.
Yeah, and I try to sell myself that these guys could, or the ones they used a lot, like we mentioned Lombardi, Barry Horowitz, Jose Luis Rivera, who would later become one half of the Conquistadors. That level of guy who was on TV every week because they were part of the crew. Like, I always had more hope that Lanny Poffo was in that role at this time as well. And then it'd be great because you'd watch primetime wrestling and those guys would wrestle each other and
win.
And then one of them would have to win. And I'd be on the edge of my seat. I'd be like, holy shit, one of these guys has to win. One of these guys is moving. I'd edge up on the edge of my couch. I'd be like, let's go, Lanny Poffo, So anyway, that's the role he occupied in that 4 or 5 month run with the WWF, where, as he claims, as he tells it, he made enough money to finally put a down payment on a house, and then that was it. He wiped his hands of the pro wrestling business, moved his family back to Indiana, got a job with General Motors, and worked for another 25, 30 years or whatever till he retired to Florida, and again worked sporadically for Windy City because he knew the promoter. So he'd go work those Windy City shows. And he did some indie stuff into his 40s, and that was it for Steve Regal. And he was so far removed from the pro wrestling scene that the man died in July, and we didn't find out until December.
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't have a lot of friends still working in the business. A lot of his people he worked with are dead. And certainly most of the promoters he worked for are long since out of the business. So that's what happens. And someone like him, who's just a normal guy who didn't really, once he left it behind. He probably didn't keep contact with a lot of people. Like you said, he didn't know Matt Bourne was dead. So, and anytime, you find stuff on him from conventions and things, he's just always with that smile on his face and a happy guy who had a good life. And he got out unscathed without major injury other than the shoulder. And he made his money, got out, and then just was a normal guy.
Yeah, it's a very interesting career if you go on to Cage Match because you'll see exactly what we're talking about. And it's like he did the WWF run and then was done. Like, he was 1986. He has a match October 29th, 1986, Wrestling Challenge. Then he finishes up with the WWF. He doesn't work again for 2 more years until he does a match with Spike Huber in Peoria, Illinois. So that was probably just like a favor to a buddy.
And you know what? He teamed with Spike Huber in Memphis.
Yeah. So it's probably like Spike's like, hey, I'm doing this match with the show, and he's like, yeah, fine, whatever.
So it was like a Crockett house show in Illinois, some spot show. And they just and I guess Dusty still would have been March of '88.
Yeah,
that's right around when he got fired, right?
Yeah.
But either way, he had a relationship with Spike Huber. He had worked for Crockett just 2 years earlier. They needed a house show body. They called him up and he did it.
Yeah, and then he knocks the dust off a little bit and says, I'll do some of this Windy City Pro Wrestling. So does that in a couple times in '88, like twice in '88. Then doesn't wrestle again. There's probably some missing, results here and there.
There's definitely,
but like you're saying, kind of a weekend warrior type. And then in 1995, he wrestles and then he's done. It's like February 1995. He does another Windy City TV taping and he's done. And it's like he didn't come back for, a little run in 1997 and he didn't do, hey, I can work this, memorial show or whatever. It's like done. 1995, it's done. It's like.
He got a real job.
Yeah.
He listen. Who's that Windy City? Sam DeCaro. What's his name?
Yeah.
Sam DeCaro.
Sam DeCaro, I believe is who you're talking about. Yeah.
Anyway, he was friends with him, and that's why he would work Windy City shots.
DeCaro. Yeah, I forget exactly how you pronounce it.
So that was the connection there, and he belted him up and made him the champion and everything. But and look, Windy City's a legendary indie. I don't know. I mean, you could speak to it probably better than I can, but they ran for what?
Still
20 years.
Technically still running, and now it's a little different now, and they don't run anywhere near the city anymore. They run out in the outskirts or whatever. But technically, the lineage of Windy City Pro Wrestling does still exist today, and that would make that God. You talk about 88. It starts up and still technically today, but it had there was about 5 or 6 years there where it stopped. But the original Sam DeCaro run or whatever was 88 till I want to say 2009, 2010, I think. So they ran and started a lot of careers. A lot of guys went through there as well. So yeah, really.
That's Jim Kettner, ECWA longevity in terms of an indie. Where I know Kettner. I mean, he likes to claim he's been running ECWA since the '60s. A lot of people are dubious to that. He may have run shows in the late '60s, but the point is that's another indie that. Are they still running shows? I think they are.
ECWA, I want to say still is.
Didn't he sell it or retire or something? Let me see if I can find on that.
Yeah, it says they're still running. They just ran a show in. Okay. You know what? Not very. They last ran a show. They ran the 30th Super 8 tournament in. Oh, that's next year. That's coming up next year. No, they're still running. Yeah, they're still running.
But Kettner hasn't been involved in a long time. I don't think.
I don't. Yeah, no, it's been a while for him.
He's been out for a while, but I guess there's still ECWA shows, and the Super 8 and everything is still running. So, Delaware, South Jersey area. I mean, that's Steve Regal, and I think that we both kind of had the same feeling watching him work in that it's like, hey, this guy's not nearly as bad as the memes and the jokes would make you to believe, but I do. Look, I would never sell this guy as some kind of exciting pro wrestler. I'm not going to go that far. Okay. But in dabbling back and watching some of the stuff that I came across, I was pleasantly surprised at how crisp and good he was. You can see why he never had problems getting booked. Let's put it that way. This is a guy who there's no holes in his career. He never had the retreat back to Indiana with his tail between his legs because nobody would book him. Now, was he somebody that always got pushed? No, he almost never got pushed, but the proverbial good, solid veteran hand.
Yeah. A glue guy for your territory. Absolutely.
Who didn't have the charisma necessarily to be a top guy. I mean, even when the AWA was on its way down, Vern never really was going to push him as anything close to a top guy or anything like that. But man, it's like I said at the top, it just strikes you. It just smacks you upside the head when it comes to the nitty gritty, detailed work and how much better it was. It just was so much better during that era than it is today. It's just the attention to detail, as Alan always puts it, just does not exist at nearly the same level in 2025, despite the fact that modern wrestlers undoubtedly are more athletic. They undoubtedly are better at putting together more exciting finishes and things like that. They undoubtedly can have perform more dynamic moves. They undoubtedly stay in better shape and are able to wrestle longer careers. Here's a guy who knew he was going to be washed up at 35, and he probably came off the top rope 5 times in his life. You got guys now wrestling well into their 50s at a super high level. It's just like any athlete, they take better care of themselves now. There's definitely facets of pro wrestling that are stronger today, but you talk about fundamental work and just a good deep arm drag and knowing how to bump and sell and do the detail oriented fundamentals. Listen, go watch that 80-second Rocky King Steve Regal match, 80 seconds, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's like you said, it slaps you across the head if you watch this old wrestling and you watch somebody like that, somebody who had the reputation of being a not so good worker, a boring worker, whatever. And you watch, you're just like, man, there's very few guys that could have a match like that right now. No, whatever that, whatever you wanted to find that is, but you just watch it, just watch the match that he has, and it's just the crispness, the tightness of everything is just it's different.
Well, we listen, Austin Aries is the guy we just talked about who works that way.
Yeah.
And that's why he jumped off the page in some of those MLW matches, because whoa, okay, look, someone who knows how to work, really knows how to work. And it's like you take a step back. You're like, holy shit. And I'm not saying that there's no, there's other guys.
Of course.
It's just so many people. It's a different business, and I don't know if there's an emphasis on that kind of detail anymore, because I don't think the wrestlers or the promoters think it matters all that much.
Or the fans.
That's it. And if it doesn't matter to the fans, it's not going to matter to the people presenting it. But I think that now listen, the toothpaste might be out of the tube and all that sort of thing, whatever analogy or phrase you want to use. But I think that if somehow, some way, the in-ring work in American pro wrestling was that tight again, I think modern fans would note the difference and appreciate it. And I think it's over. This shit evolves. And as we've evolved into more athletic wrestling with, again, more exciting finishes and, quote unquote, better matches on the whole and all those things, we've evolved away from, guys taking a proper bump. I mean, I'm going to keep going back to that match. There's a corner bump where Regal runs at King. King puts up the knee and Regal takes it's like, holy shit, what a bump. And it's just a basic bump in the corner. You just don't see that kind of level of detail in the work today a lot of the time, even if the matches oftentimes are better than the matches you were seeing. So I don't know.
And no one's going to train anybody to work like this anymore. And he talked about his training, and he said, it's like my father-in-law basically put me in a barn and beat the shit out of me for 3 years. And that's how I learned. And then when he said, you've learned as much as I can teach you, go up to Vern. And then he says, then I went to Vern, and then I froze my ass off. He was Wilbur. I sweat my ass off in 100-degree heat, getting my ass kicked for 3 years. And then I went to Vern, and I went to a barn for 2 years and froze my ass off while getting my ass kicked. And then I was ready to go. And it's like, nobody's going to teach anybody like that anymore. No one's teaching wrestling. No one's training wrestling like that anymore. It's just, like you said, this stuff evolves, and those guys, they're gone. They're gone. And the people that are teaching the next generation of wrestlers are not teaching them, and because they didn't wrestle that way either. We that connective tissue's pretty much been lost, and it'll never come back. No one's going to open a wrestling school and say, all right, we're going to teach you how to do a tight chin lock and good punches and good corner bumps and just little, we're going to do real solid fundamental stuff and show how to, really, make sure that you're taking a buckle right or whatever. No one's going to do any of that shit. That doesn't matter. Who cares?
I mean, it's funny. I just switched over to the chat, and Andrew Huntley's in there, and he noted the same thing I noted before I did. He says the turnbuckle bump Regal takes is something to behold.
Yeah.
It's just a basic bump, but no one bumps like that now, unless it's like Will Ospreay or something, with that kind of ferocity. And, it's like I reviewed NXT on Flagship Plus, and
oh God,
yeah. That women's Iron Survivor Challenge thing or whatever, those 5 women, and those are 5 of the better ones that NXT has, because some of them are putrid, but those were 5 of the better ones. You saw who was in that match, like Lola Vice, Kendall Gray, the decent ones. Sol Ruka and her broken knees. She was the worst one, but you get the idea. They executed all of their flashy moves to perfection. I have no complaints I don't know if you listened, but the work was fine. They executed everything great. They didn't blow any spots. And there were a lot of complex stuff that they did, but it was just moving from spot to spot and then executing this highly choreographed spot until people would chant, "This is awesome." And I don't know if Steve Regal and Rocky King could do the things that those women were doing, right? But I know for a fact that those women can't work the way that Rocky King and Steve Regal did in the 82nd match I'm talking about. They just can't do it. They weren't taught, like you're saying, they weren't taught that. And that's sort of the thing that's missing, where you can get great execution in modern wrestling, and these people do amazing things. And we're not people who hate we hate what's good. You know what I'm like,
I don't normally, 2025's turned me into.
It does kind of stink now, but
right? But normally, no.
But we're not those guys, We're not those guys who have stopped watching modern wrestling, and we're just, talking. Rich wasn't even born when these matches that he's talking about happened, so that's not really what's happening here. But yeah, I just really wish that as Alan terms it, that attention to detail, that's the best way to phrase it. I wish that would come back, because if you combine that with what these wrestlers can do today, I mean, could you imagine the quality of the matches we could have when good people get in there? And, you know, and there are some people that work that way. And,
for sure.
And they're the ones that are having, to me, the best matches. And it's why I often pick on some highly regarded workers that I'm just like, I don't think they're as good as everybody says.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I watch a guy like Bandito and he's messy. He's a perfect example. He's just messy.
It always feels very, the term I want to use is like loose. Like it doesn't feel like he's ever really impacting his opponent. It doesn't feel like he's ever actually hurting his opponent. Like he's doing stuff in and around the opponent. And yes, he's flippy doing and that. And the person's landing on their neck and landing on their head or whatever. It just always feels very loose. It doesn't feel like there's a tightness to it, or it doesn't feel like the inflicting like direct punishment on their opponent or whatever. And, you know, again, like, would I probably rather watch 2 hours of Bandito matches than Steve Regal matches? Probably, but
he's gonna have better matches than Steve.
Yeah, but like watching Steve Regal put on a tight chinlock, you know, and then, you know, stand up from that and then, you know, kick the guy in the gut and then put him in, bounce him off the ropes and put him into a tight arm drag and then do another, you know, chinlock or whatever. That's not the most exciting or dynamic wrestling, but you just notice that that arm drag, there's a snap to it, there's a velocity to it, there's a veracity to it. And then that chinlock, he wrenches it in, and it's like, oh yeah, there you go. And the announcers are, he's, you know, cutting off his circulation. You could see him, you know, kind of. There's just something about it. It's just a certain, you know, the arm drags is where you can tell it a lot. Like old arm drags were just like those guys would attack the mat
so deep. They would attack the opponent. And attack the mat.
Right. You know?
And
it's such a simple move, and it's not a move that, like, again, there's 1,000 moves that happen in today's wrestling that look cooler and are much more dynamic and much more fun and all that sort of stuff. But there's something about just a nice tight arm drag, and it's just like, shit, that looks like it hurts, you know? And you wrench it in, and then you grab the guy's arm and you wrench the arm back or whatever, and the guy's selling it like his arm's about to fall out of its socket. Like, that's good.
They weren't hurting each other, and they were working with each other, but they were kind of forcing each other to lay it in, so at least it looked good.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's like they at least forced, look, if you're going to arm drag me, you need to fucking arm, and then I'll go with it, but you need to get it deep, and you need to whip me over, and you need to, and then, you know, so there's a different, I'm watching the TNA pay-per-view, okay? And I got a perfect example for this. I'm watching the Iconics. Versus Tessa Blanchard.
With your girl Dana Brooke on commentary. Oh, my.
Yeah. And Alicia Fox and Dana Brooke. And no, not Dana Brooke. And Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, it was Tessa and Alicia Fox. Victoria Crawford. Yeah.
Who, by the way, Tessa considered one of the better women's wrestlers around, right? And it's like the Iconics are doing this cleaning house spot where they're giving these running clotheslines to Crawford and Blanchard. And Crawford and Blanchard are flat back bumping off of these clotheslines a full half second before any contact is made by those arms. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. Is it safer? Maybe. I don't think lariats are particularly dangerous. You're just smacking flesh on flesh, right? But you see this all the time, and I'm not picking on these four women, because you'll see this with some not even just women. You see this with any worker who's considered good, and they do this all the time too, where they bump before the contact is made. Because that's just, it feels like that's how they're teaching them. I don't know if that's true or not, but you see it all the time. And you know what it is, Rich? It's because nobody fucking cares. No one cares. We're going to come on this show and talk about how Victoria Crawford and Tessa Blanchard were bumping without any contact being made to their chest. Which,
by the way, I didn't watch the NXT Iron Survivor women's match that you're talking about, but I promise you that happened 1,000 times. Because that every one of those big, convoluted Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka spots, like the person that's taking the bump is taking the bump before the contact happens. Like the Soul Snatcher, or the Soul Catcher, whatever the fuck Sol Ruka's thing is, the person that's doing it almost always hits the mat before Soul has even touched her completely.
Yeah, and it drives you insane, because there was a time in wrestling where these guys wouldn't be caught dead bumping like that. because they felt like it'd be exposing the.
Oh, you'd get to the back, and that promoter would chew your ass out. You're gonna bump before you get hit and go back to Vern Gagne.
What's Bill Watts gonna think about that?
Right, yeah, get back to that curtain and have Brad Rangans and Vern Gagne look up at you and go, "What the fuck was that, dude? What are you doing?"
And it's like you're not gonna get booked.
No, you're done
because you're showing too much light. Is that even a term anymore? Showing too much light? I don't think anyone cares.
I don't think that term probably gets thrown around at any wrestling school ever anymore. No.
And and again, I don't want to be old guy yelling at clouds, but it's noticeable. Is it too much to ask to get hit with the lariat before you bump? Apparently, yes, because the standards don't exist. No one cares, and you nailed it. I pointed at the fans and the promoter. I pointed at the wrestlers and the promoters, but you're right. The fans don't care.
No, nobody cares. Who else is having that conversation that you and I just had about Victoria Crawford and Tessa Blanchard? Nobody. Zero people. They cooked. They cooked, Joe. I don't know if anybody said they cooked. But,
I don't know if anyone said that match cooked. But,
that would be, if anybody said they cooked, I assure you, block that person. They are lying. They did not cook.
Yes. Anyway, that's what I mean. And it's like, even with the guy, and it's so funny because Steve Regal was not considered a great worker.
No, his cage match, he's like a 4.69 on cage match. No, and I'm like, oh, that's not fair.
He's a meme. He's been a meme for 40 years. Steve Regal has been a meme for being a bad worker for as long as I have known pro wrestling has existed. And then you watch him and you're like, he's better than 70% of the people I saw on Dynamite last night. And if you think I'm crazy, go watch a few of his matches. Yeah, it's like, he's better fundamentally than half the people in AEW, at minimum. So I think what has been hammered home, and it seems like you had the same feeling, is just a lot of the certain standards in pro wrestling have really dropped over the years.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
And how a better worker than maybe he got credit for, or things have just changed enough, and the way we look at wrestling has changed.
Yeah, I think he was in an environment where almost everyone was better than him. But now he looks a lot better because he's better than a lot of the people today. Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it.
Definitely. But there you go, Steve Regal, Mr. Electricity Steve Regal. No, not that Steve Regal.
Which, by the way, a lot of those fake news YouTube things and everything.
Oh, no.
Totally. I saw one where, with the AI voice and everything, and like, pro wrestling legend Steve Regal passed away. And of course, they show William Regal. Ugh. And then it's like, Triple H, who maintained a close relationship, was at his funeral and blah, blah, blah. Like, just totally made up bullshit. Like, and then just photos of like Triple H and William Regal with their arm around each other. And Steven Regal trained many of the WWE superstars you see on SmackDown and Raw today. And they show him like with his PC t-shirts, like,
right.
It's like, and it's just so bad. I think TMZ got it right though. I did see the TMZ.
Okay, that's good.
They got the right guy. Okay, I'm surprised.
I got MSN. I clicked on an MSN and I went, oh boy, they're not going to get this right, are they? And they got it right too. So I'll give MSN credit too.
Yeah. So there's a lot of funny ones out there, but you knew that was going to happen. Because a lot of these AI YouTube, they use AI to Google. The AI, of course, Googles the wrong thing. It brings up the other guy, and then the AI reads the fucking script, the Wikipedia page of the other guy, and then this is what you end up with, which is a shame. It's no fault of the real Steve Regals. I mean, he was first, by the way. I mean, well, I guess the other guy when did the other guy start in England? Did he start as early as 75? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, I think this Steve Regal has to.
He's got 10 years on him probably.
Has to be. Yeah,
because he started in 75 and William Regal probably started around 83, 84, somewhere in there. If I had to, was it even that early? Let's look that up.
Yeah, let's see when the other Regal. Yeah, let's see. Because what do we say? When do we say this Steve Regal started?
1975 or something.
75. All right. Yeah, that works for me.
He definitely clears William, but I was curious. Well, William's only 57, but he started when he was like 14.
Yeah, he started pretty early. Cage Match has the first Roy Regal match September of 1986.
All right, Wikipedia is saying 83.
Okay.
So when he was 15.
Which
way. Makes sense. Yeah, so still got him beat by a number of years for the name. So anyway, that's I tell you what, I know it sounds crazy. It's like I'm gonna watch more of him after watching him this week.
Right, for sure.
I'm like, because then you learn about,
I'm telling you, go to that WCW Vault and some of those Great American Bash Denny Brown. And there's a couple that have no commentary or whatever because it's just like they're not necessarily fan cam, they're filmed, but they're not like perfectly
filmed with no commentary.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know what they were filming them for. Just kind of raw footage. But yeah, some of those are really good. There was one that was a title switch. I forget if Regal won the title or Brown won the title. They would trade it back and forth all the time. I forget, but I got done watching the match and I was like, that's a fucking hell of a match that they just had right there. Holy shit. That's pretty good. I had no expectation. I was going to skip it too. I'm thinking, oh God, Steve Regal, Denny Brown, this is going to suck. And I was like, that's a fucking great match.
Always the opener.
Always. Yep.
And if it wasn't those two, there was a lot of Les Thornton around that time with Denny Brown and, and then Nelson Royal was another guy who was part of that during that era. So always that crew of guys, and they'd work that opener for the junior title. But they were decent little matches, But Dusty, that was the spot for that belt. It was a prelim match, and even as champion, they would do jobs on TV.
Because the big guys,
right. So it's like it was something for the jobbers to do when they went on the road was really what that title was.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, radio host, sports commentator, former drummer for the Black Crowes. The winter holidays are here, a time for festive celebrations, family gatherings, and ringing in the new year. Whether it's a holiday party, a night out with friends, or just relaxing by the fire with a few drinks, it's a season full of good cheer. But here's something else to add to your holiday plans, a safe and sober ride home. Just like in sports and music, always have a game plan. And the most important part of any plan is sticking to it. If you plan to drink, take that plan a step further. Call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or have a designated driver lined up before the night begins. Drinking and driving is a decision that can change your life and the lives of others forever. A DUI, a crash, an injury. The consequences are real and lasting. So please, for your sake and for everyone else on the road, make the smart choice. Get a sober ride home. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
We have a lot to get to, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, you know what? Since we're talking about junior titles, let's just do this now, and then we can move on to the other bigger topics. Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid is happening. It is finally happening after months of us pleading, direct messaging certain people that might run certain wrestling companies and saying, hey, Tiger Mask is calling it quits. You should book him before he calls it quits. And you know what would be a great idea? If you booked him against Dynamite Kid, somebody that you may or may not, if particularly depending on who we were potentially reaching out to, you may or may not actually employ the current Dynamite Kid, and you can book the current Tiger Mask before he retires. But that didn't happen. But it is finally happening somewhere. February 6th, 2026. Well, we assume February 6th. It's going to be the first round match of the Jersey J Cup. I would imagine it's going to happen February 6th. February 6th, I believe the White Eagle Hall, JCW, the Jersey Championship Wrestling / GCW, has booked the match for the 2026 Jersey J Cup. So we're finally getting it. Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid for a new generation.
I don't know why you're dancing around it. I mean, I was begging Tony Khan.
Oh, okay.
I pitched this thing. I was like, look, this would be a cool ass match to do at the Forbidden Door on the pre-show. Now, I don't expect that to be that'd be a ridiculous pay-per-view match, but I thought it was a cool idea to do Tiger Mask before he retires against the, new version of the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington. Now that he had him signed, I thought it would be just a fun nod to the hardcore fan. It'd be a fun little gimmicky match. They go 6 minutes on a buy-in.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
no expectations going in. Nobody would care, but we would care.
Just
the
fun
sickos
thing.
would care. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that, like, for Forbidden Door, it was perfect. And, getting left on red and no sold, you kind of had the idea it wasn't going to happen. But here we are. It's going to happen. And look, JCW, which is very closely aligned with Game Changer, obviously, they flat out credited Tony with allowing it to happen because, any indie booking of a contracted talent has to go through AEW. So they're letting Billington do the match. I don't know if this is true anymore. I'd have to, people will hear this conversation, but I'll have to circle back with some promoters too. But I don't know if it's still a policy that AEW wrestlers must win if they work an indie match. And no, it used to be for sure. 1,000% if you booked an AEW wrestler on an indie show, the provision was they have to win. Which is why whenever an AEW wrestler would hold an indie title, they'd have to lose it in like a 3-way, or they'd have to, they get creative. I don't know if that's still the case because I don't have my finger on the pulse of the indies like I used to. I don't really pay attention to any indies. That's going to change in 2026. I'm making a promise to myself. I have to find stuff to sink my teeth into because it's not the time for that conversation. But the point is, that's going to be interesting because in no universe should Tommy Billington beat Tiger Mask.
No.
I don't care that he's 55. I don't care that it's Tiger Mask 4, who's the worst of all. He's had it for 20 years and he's never been good. Although I like his grumpy work that he does as an older
the
wrestler.
Current state of Tiger Mask is better than he's ever been ever.
When he was pushed.
Right.
I've enjoyed him more in the last 5 years than when he was ever pushed. I mean, nobody enjoyed him when he was pushed. But but as the grumpy guy in the Super Junior Tag Tournament, whose team scores 2 points, and he's just kicking people and doing fucking butterfly suplexes, I think he's a lot of fun. But the point is, in no universe should Billington beat him.
The best thing about modern Tiger Mask is he has the energy of a man who just put out a cigarette.
Yes.
They had to find him and say, hey, you're up. Anyway, took one last drag, scraped it against the wall, put it down because he's going to go back to it. Scraped against the wall, put it down, and said, all right, let's go. And then gets through the curtain, does his 7 minutes, is grumpy, kicks everybody, and then gets back to the curtain, lights up again, and then just, leaves. Doesn't watch everybody else's matches, just leaves. Nobody even knows he's there anymore. It's just that energy is permeating through modern Tiger Mask, which makes it much better than any other time that he tried because he wasn't very good when he tried.
It's funny. I got the Fire Pro gimmick finally, the one that came out in 2017 or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, welcome.
And I got all the add-ons, and much to my surprise, when I got like the Junior Quest add-on or whatever the fuck for $2.99, it added like all these junior wrestlers, and Tiger Mask was one of them. That fucker's fun to use on that dopey little video game.
Yeah.
I've probably used Tiger Mask more than anyone else in that fucking game. He's fun to use with all the kicks and the different suplexes and everything. So in my little Fire Pro fed I got going on at 3:00 in the morning when I'm not playing college football. But yeah, so the point I was getting at was, does Billington have to win this match? I don't know if AEW still has that policy or not.
Yeah, because it's interesting, and I put it in the show notes as well, and a lot of people were surprised about this, that Dynamite Kid never technically beat Tiger Mask ever. So they had the original iterations, the original Tiger Mask and the original Dynamite Kid. They wrestled 9 times. 8 of those 9, Tiger Mask won. One time Dynamite Kid did win, but he won by disqualification.
Yeah, it's
I guess they had they had 2 double countouts of those 9. I'm counting the matches separately, the double countout, but both those April 21st. You can combine those into one if you want. The April 21st, 1983. That's the 5-star match from Dave Meltzer or whatever. That one had a double countout. Then the match was restarted, and then it went to a double countout again. That one, it wasn't a Tiger Mask win, but a double countout. But otherwise, pretty much every other time, Tiger Mask defeats Dynamite Kid. Tiger Mask defeats Dynamite Kid. Once they introduce the junior heavyweight title, Tiger Mask defeats Dynamite Kid. Tiger Mask beats Dynamite Kid. Dynamite Kid wins via DQ. Then Tiger Mask beats him. Tiger Mask beats him. Double count out. That's it for the original iteration. So he never beat him. Never straight up beat him.
Yeah, I mean, I think 1 or 2 of those matches aren't on tape, but yeah, I mean, the rest of them are there to watch. I mean, they were on. I don't know if they're on the new version of New Japan World. Did they get everything converted over yet?
They did not. No, it's.
Some people tell me they did. Some people tell me they didn't.
Every time every time someone says they did, and then I'm like, what about this match? I'm like, well, that one's not on there. And I'm like, it was. I'm telling you, it used to be on the other one.
I'll go looking for something, and it won't be there. And then people are like, oh, no, they got it. But look, I know there's a match that.
Right.
Because at one point on the old New Japan World, I was in my spare time watching literally every match uploaded on the service, starting at the beginning. And I knew I was never going to get through it. It's just something I was doing in my spare time because why not throw on some old wrestling, right? That was my little project. And I got to like mid 82 or whatever before maybe I got a little deeper before like they started switching it over. And I never went back to it. I abandoned it because so much was missing. But I do know that back then, there were like 7 of these matches on there. And I can't remember if all of the ones on tape were on New Japan World or not, but I know all but like 1 or 2 that they ever had, singles matches, are on tape and easily accessible somewhere. So if people want to go back and watch those, the thing about that series, okay, is I love how Dynamite plays it because he gets progressively more frustrated with each match where he can't beat this fucking guy. Kicking the ropes, getting himself disqualified, like all this crazy shit with each, because it's so frustrating that he can't best him, you know? And I know that there's a lot of hipsters out there who will tell you that this series of matches is overrated and it's never as good as people thought. Those people are out of their fucking minds, okay? You go back and watch those matches, it's very clear, and nobody would deny this, how influential they are to everything that happened afterwards. I don't think anyone would deny that. Now, there's a messiness and a grittiness to their matches that I think is what bothers people, but I like that. The matches weren't super smooth. It wasn't, it doesn't look like the junior heavyweight matches that you would see a decade later when junior heavyweight wrestling really peaked in Japan. It doesn't look like what you see today if you're watching, I don't know, fucking Javon Evans or Nick Wayne or whatever the fuck. It's more, Tiger Mask there's a lot of striking with him. Dynamite is Dynamite. He's a fucking sicko with the bumps and everything else. But I can't understand people who think that series of matches is overrated or doesn't live up on a rewatch.
They're nuts.
I think they're just trying too hard to be different. I hate saying that because it's never cool to like put someone else's thought. You know what?
Invalidating someone's opinion and just say they're trying to have an opinion. It's not actually your opinion. You're making up your opinion or whatever. But I feel like when it comes to this series of matches, it's part of the whole pushback on Meltzer thing because Dave liked them. And there's a lot of that today from certain circles of fans who really should know better and understand what they're contributing to. And I'll leave it at that. They need to understand that they're contributing to the mass piling on of what it really comes down to, a nice guy in Northern California who has done nothing but been a massive benefit to the pro wrestling industry for 40 years. And by going out of your way to shit on him and add to the dog pile along with the dumbest people on earth, you're just contributing to something that's going to have massive negative ripple effects moving forward when Dave is long gone. And you have contributed to it, and I find you more guilty because these are the kind of people who should know better. We're all on the same team, or at least we should be, in the preservation of history, and we're on the right side of this stuff. And you're jumping on dog piles with people who believe the wrong side of history and the WWE version of history, and they buy into the grifter class who have a monetary reason to tear Dave down. And by jumping on him and invalidating Dave's opinions because you might like a different style of wrestling than him, you're contributing to that dog pile and adding to that. And it's going to undoubtedly hurt the credibility of this man when he's gone. And when his credibility is gone, the real history of pro wrestling is also gone. And people are going to learn that. They're going to learn that in the next couple of decades. And I'm going to be right. And I don't want to be right. Believe me. But I'm going to be right. And it makes me sad. And I think that those people are the ones that absolutely should know better and should just swallow their pride and accept, all right, we're going to disagree with Dave on what good wrestling constitutes because we should be on the same team. Keep tearing down the Observer and then see the conversations you're having 20 years from now with these fucking idiots who undoubtedly are going to win the war because we're always on the losing side. See what kind of conversation you have with these people. When you try to point to the real history of the business and you're met with, oh, well, that came from Dave Meltzer, the liar, the guy who just made things up. Well, you contributed.
So congratulations. But, yeah, I think that's where a lot of the pushback on the Tiger Mask Dynamite Kid matches come from. Kind of just fading Dave.
Yeah. Because every time I go back and watch them, and I'm planning on rewatching every single one of them, whatever's on tape, obviously, before this match happens, and maybe do some content about it. But every time that I've watched them a couple times over the year. Not maybe sat down and watched all of them, but watched a couple here and there. Every time I'm always taken aback by just how ahead of the time they are. And how, I say this about certain matches, but those are matches that you could probably put on Dynamite next week, or have two guys that work in AEW right now. Pick whoever you want and say, hey, you know what? You two, I want you to exactly recreate this match. Every single bump, I want you to do exactly every single thing they did in this match. Do it here on TBS Live on the air. And it would not look out of place. Nobody would say, whoa, what the hell is this? This match is weird. Like, they're so, in 1983, they're doing stuff that would not look out of place whatsoever in 2025. Like I said, those exact same matches transported to today's time would look completely fine in today's wrestling. Like, and think about what it was like being a fan in 1983 and watching them. I cannot even imagine, considering what else was going on in the world. So no, they stand the test of time, and they always stand out to me for that reason more than anything. Of just like,
they don't
whoa.
overstay their welcome.
Nope.
They're not 40 minutes long. It's the chat is telling us, by the way, that AEW wrestlers lose on the indies all the time now. So
I don't know if that's actually true though. Somebody brought up Billy Starks, and I looked, and a lot of the Billy Starks matches that she loses are three-way matches or something like that. I don't know if they lose that often on the indies.
We maybe should research this. But
Yeah.
the point here is, I don't even think Tommy Billington would want to beat Tiger Mask. Because the guy's a full-on tribute act. He understands the history.
Yeah, the issue is, does Tiger Mask want to win? Does he want to go and wrestle twice on this weekend, or does he want to get back on a plane and go back? So he might go, no, brother, you're beating me. And maybe he can, I doubt he cares, but he could sell it as, well, look, I'm calling it quits. It's the end of the Tiger Mask.
Hey, he's retiring.
If Dynamite Kid's going to get a win over Tiger Mask, why not right now? Now, I don't think... I'm assuming that Tiger Mask 4 is not romantic about the business in the same way that you and I are, or all of us are right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he comes in and he goes, no, brother, no. I beat your uncle all those times. No. Hypothetically, the Tiger Mask. No, I know it wasn't this exact Tiger Mask, but let's just, for the purposes of this, saying, you know what, the Tiger Mask character beat your uncle all these many times. You know what? It'd be fitting, since I'm calling it quits, and there's probably not going to be another Tiger Mask. Dynamite Kid should finally, once and for all, beat Tiger Mask. So I think, now we're being told that maybe it's a non-tournament match, and if that's a non-tournament match, then that changes everything. If it's a tournament match, there's no chance in hell Tiger Mask wants to work twice. If it's a non-tournament match, then Billington's probably going to come to the building and say, no, I cannot lose to you.
What's the distribution model for Jersey Championship Wrestling?
They were, right now, I believe they're on Triller, powered by Fight, but I don't know if you've been following how that's going.
I have. But
yeah.
Do you need the sub, or is it?
I believe if you are a Triller TV Plus member, you can watch.
Do we have that through a media deal or something?
We do.
All right, so the point is, I could watch this match if I want to watch it and review it.
Correct.
Because, I'm a big Tommy Billington guy. I've reviewed a lot of his matches behind the paywall. $10 tier for all the written reviews, by the way. $5 tier for the Thursday Dynamite review. I thought I had a really good Dynamite review today. So yeah, I'm gonna try to make it a point. Oh, free on YouTube.
Never mind. Yeah, that's the other. Unfortunately, my mind is. I was thinking, because today it was in the news that the first Vince Russo booked Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and now that is what's available on Triller. So,
oh God, who cares?
I'm never going to watch that. But I think Jersey might be on YouTube, actually. So that's even better.
Yeah. I have to, I've made a commitment. I had a conversation with someone. I won't say who. Not that it's a big deal who it was, but 2026, I'm going to pick a couple indies and just pay attention. Well, I have to.
I don't know if you've been seeing the news recently, but there's a little coalition going on between, I think, to me, my favorite indies are kind of coming together in light of Deadlock going away and Prestige going away. There's some cool stuff going on West Coast, who I think is one of the best indies in the country. combining with New Texas Pro, and obviously we have a relationship with this, and I like a lot of what New Texas Pro does, and they just linked up with Action Wrestling too, and I know you and I all like action. We both like Action Wrestling too, so I think that coalition is going to be the one to keep your eye on. And I talked about it during WrestleMania weekend. Unfortunately, you didn't watch. You watched the Collective, which was not all terrible.
You're the one who split it all up.
Yeah, I know, because I went to the good shows, brother. I had the smart idea. I was like, you watch that stuff.
I made me watch all the fucking trash.
Yeah, we should pay more attention to what's going on WrestleMania weekend instead of groaning.
You know what?
Instead of groaning as I go over the cards, you should listen and go, wait a minute, that show sounds like it sucks. I'm not covering that.
I hope that baby of yours has a blowout diarrhea tonight that you got to deal with just for that, what you put me through WrestleMania.
I do apologize. Yeah, it's funny because I would get home from one of those shows. St. Louis Anarchy is also involved in that. We have a relationship with those guys too, and like what they do for the most part. But so they had a little bit of a collective going on there where it was Deadlock, Prestige, West Coast. It was all that, and they were all in that one building. And I would go to those shows, and they were great, and I loved them, and I had a lot of fun watching them. And then I would come, the next night or whatever, the next morning, I'd wake up and listen to you listen to you review these collective shows.
Yeah,
and be like, fucking WrestleMania weekend. Like I would come and I'd have this glow. I'm like, WrestleMania weekend's back, and I'm high fiving everybody, and I'm like, this is back, this is it, we're back, baby. And then I'd listen, and you'd be like, it's dead, don't do it ever again, we're done.
Yeah,
it's garbage.
That weekend, I don't think I watched a single indie match the rest of the year.
Yeah, it did immeasurable damage to you. So I would definitely say that collective that's kind of starting the West Coast Action, New Texas Anarchy, that's definitely something that you should keep an eye on, that group right now. I think that'll be an easy way to say here. These are the companies that are all run by, I think, pretty decent people that all have their head, screwed on straight or whatever. I'm going to watch those guys. I'm going to watch these companies.
How about this good point? The no losing on the indies rule could be moot since it would be to a wrestler from a promotional partner anyway. That's good. That's a good angle.
Yeah. It's true.
Right? Maybe, all right, it's a New Japan wrestler, whatever.
Like you said, I think Billington's going to come to the arena and say, no, there's no way I can beat you. Yeah, I'm not. That's kind of another modern thing. Like we always talk about Will Ospreay's that way. You have to convince Will Ospreay to beat people. And it's like, well, it's like some guy in some local territory. Like, you just beat him. And he's like, no, it's fine. I imagine Billington's the same way because he respects history. Like you said, he's a nostalgia act. He knows that his uncle never beat the original Tiger Mask. He's not going to want to go out there and beat this Tiger Mask. So
it's like when Vader showed up in Rev Pro and decided that he was gonna just not fucking do business, and Will's like, "Oi, no problem, mate. I don't care.
I love you, Vader. Love you, Vader. Yeah, no problem, mate.
I'm gonna be over anyway, bruv. It don't matter. Yeah, because he knows. Like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? No one cares he lost to Vader.
No.
And I love how people tried to position that too. Like, oh, he got worked. Oh, yeah, stick it to Will.
He didn't care.
Like, he doesn't. Like, he gives a shit. He probably asked to take the Vader bomb.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, you mate, give me that Vader bomb.
Yeah.
Doing the V. He's doing the V thing as he's talking to him.
Yeah. Oi, bruv. Yeah, no doubt.
No, Will, you have to convince Will to beat, like, he'll face some random ass dude in some fucking Spanish indie, and he's like, "No, bruv, you should beat me." It's like, no, Will, just beat the guy.
Here's the thing, though. He's right. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. He's there for one match.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's right. But some guys don't have that mindset. Like he's not going to be any less over because he loses to fucking A Kid in 2017 in fucking Spain.
Yeah, right.
But it's going to help A Kid tremendously if that happens. Whatever happened to A Kid?
I don't know. Yeah, who knows? Retired.
What's his name again?
Axiom.
Numerical digits. What's his name?
No, Axiom, right? Is that
Axiom?
Yeah, Axiom. Yeah. I did also find out a couple, just to note here, the second Tiger Mask, Misawa, not to shoot trash at anybody here, but the second Tiger Mask was Misawa. And Dynamite Kid. Yeah, I know. Why? I didn't know that either. I just found that out today, Joe, that the second Tiger Mask was legendary pro wrestler Mitsuharu Misawa.
Well,
wow.
I mean, he did take it off.
He took it off in the ring, yeah. As did the third Tiger Mask, Koji Kanemoto, very famously took it off in the ring and threw it at Jushin Liger.
Different circumstances.
Yes, yeah, a little different, yeah. Yeah, the second Tiger Mask was a little more happy in to do it, and Koji was he was angry, but he probably didn't.
Koji Kanemoto. He's Koji.
Yeah,
Kanemoto.
Well, why wouldn't he be a fucking angry asshole? So anyway, they had several tag matches together, but they did have 3 singles matches, 2 with Misawa under the mask, and I love it. Even these even these ones, if you want to keep the legacy going, Dynamite Kid versus Tiger Mask, November 16th, 1984, time limit draw. Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid, November 27th, 1985, double count out. Finally, though, Tiger Mask does defeat Dynamite Kid, but it's as Misawa. He's already unmasked by this point, April 9th, 1991. So even through the second Tiger Mask has never lost to Dynamite Kid. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see how this gets booked.
Well, he's taking that butterfly suplex in the center of the ring.
Yeah,
that's getting booked. But I am here for it.
Rocks.
I will watch that. I will enjoy it. All right, we got a million topics.
Yeah. Let's get to what's on the note here. Oh, John Cena is retiring. We'll get to. I love how we started. Find me another podcast that's going to spend an hour and 45 minutes on Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal, Tiger Mask, and Dynamite Kid, and then to begin their second hour starts with, oh yeah, John Cena's retiring in a couple days.
That Steve Regal obit fucking rocks.
That rocks. Find me another place that's going to do it in an hour, a solid hour 15 on fucking Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal, and
I thought we nailed it.
It was great.
I thought it was awesome. I guarantee you, people learned something.
That's what we're here for.
Isn't that the point?
That's what. Yep. Absolutely.
You know, it's
and it's funny.
Some matches.
It's funny with these obituaries, like famous wrestlers die, and everyone's like, "Oh, here we go," and I'm like, I don't feel these. But then like Corporal Kirshner and Steve Regal, those are my favorites.
Black Bart.
Yeah, Bart. It's like, those I feel like, I'm like, what am I going to tell you that you don't already know about famous wrestler X or whatever? Yeah, right? Like,
can I tell you, I thought our Hulk Hogan obit sucked.
I don't remember if I liked it or not.
I didn't like it. I thought it sucked. I didn't like it at all. While we were doing it, my brain was telling me, Joe, this audio sucks. Let's wrap it up. I hated it. I listened back and I was like, this stinks. But I think we just crushed Steve Regal. Like, crushed it. It's one of my favorite ones we've ever done. It had a little theme, went through the career. But you're right. I get more excited about these lesser figures than I do the major stars. I don't know, is there more pressure with the major star?
I just think I have nothing new. I feel like I'm talking to an audience that, like, what am I going to tell you about the Iron Sheik that you don't already know? You know, what am I going to tell you about Hulk Hogan that you don't already know? We didn't even do Antonio Inoki because you and I both agreed that there was like.
Well, I was. Oh no, Inoki. I wasn't on that show.
Oh, you weren't. That's right. You weren't on that show. But
something happened. I don't remember.
Yeah, I forget what. But even as we were talking before you couldn't make it, you were like, I don't really have much else. I don't have a lot of nice stuff to say about Inoki, and I don't really know how to cut. It's just like, for some reason,
I think the universe made sure I wasn't around for the Inoki week.
That was probably for the better. Yeah.
I really don't have a lot of nice things to say about Inoki. So that probably would have been, for the better. But I can't remember. You did it with someone else. I don't remember what I had going on.
Yeah, I don't recall either. Maybe a Rams game or something like that, or
someone died or something. I don't remember.
Oh, you know what? I think you had to go to a funeral or something like that. Weren't you in Jersey for a funeral or something? I forget. But yeah, it's like,
something like that.
For some reason, I don't get excited about doing the famous wrestler obits, but I get very excited about doing, you know, the other guys.
Steve Regal.
Yeah. I was thinking all day about. As I'm getting ready, I'm like, I can't wait to talk about Steve Regal. This is going to be great.
I know.
I'm telling the wife, she, what are you doing? So, we're going to talk about this guy that passed away, Steve Regal. And she's like, okay, cool.
Well, okay. When you were messing with your equipment and I was by myself, I don't know if you heard what I said, but what happens a lot of times with these two is I'm like, oh, I know this guy real well. I can't wait to talk about him because I have a lot of knowledge. But then I'll do the research anyway, and then I realize, wow, I didn't know as much as I thought because I'm learning a lot. And then, so what happens is I get excited because I just learned a bunch of new shit, and then I get excited to share all the things that I learned.
That might be it. Yeah, that might be it, because when the famous guys pass away, I don't do the same amount of research that I do when Black Bart passes away. I'm like, all right, all day I'm watching Black Bart stuff. I'm listening to Black Bart shoot interviews. I'm watching every Black Bart match I could find. I didn't do that when Hulk Hogan passed away. I didn't have to say, all right, here we go. Let's hunker down with some Hulk Hogan. No, I was just like, I think I know just about everything I need to know about Hulk Hogan. And it's kind of boring to me. Whereas these guys, I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, I'm going to give you Corporal Kirshner facts that you had no idea about. Because guess what? I didn't have any idea about it before earlier today. So probably, I'm assuming you don't know what the Corporal Kirshner facts.
So. They have to die first before we die.
Yeah.
It's like we should pick random old guys and just look
just
at their
do that every week. Yeah.
And just, you know what I mean? Because it's like I enjoy doing it, but then I always have this while I'm studying the guy or looking into him. It's like, man, why'd I wait till he died? Like, there's a lot of cool shit that I'm learning and watching here, you know? But it's like out of sight, out of mind. When's the last time you thought about Steve Regal? You know, so it's like, that's why. But anyway, John Cena is retiring. So I have a little exercise I want to do with you.
Okay.
And as per usual, I didn't discuss it with you at any point.
Yeah, it's fine.
So you're being blindsided.
Yeah, it's all good. Look, we blindside each other every single week on the show because we don't know how to prep at all. So this is perfect. It
don't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're pros.
It's still smooth as fuck.
Yeah, let's go.
So John Cena's retiring, and I think everyone would agree that this retirement tour fucking sucks. Like,
I would agree. Yes, yeah.
Now, maybe they're drawing money. Who knows if they're drawing more money than they would have drawn? Who cares?
Creatively, it's absolute dog shit. It's been dog shit since day one. They've had no good ideas this entire time for his entire last year.
The entire time. And now he just flat out admitted that they did, in fact, have no plan for the heel turn. And I'm paraphrasing, but he also went on to say that it doesn't matter that they didn't have a plan because no one cares. It's like we talked about earlier. Fans don't care about anything anymore. No. So they did the bad heel turn that had no plan, poorly executed. And then the way they got out of it was they just basically broke kayfabe on TV and said, well, that didn't work. I'm a good guy again. Mm-hmm. That was it. That's like legitimately what they did.
I cannot believe nobody put their foot to the fire on that. Now, of course, modern fans don't give a fuck, and the modern wrestling media doesn't give a fuck. So, of course, they wouldn't. But I couldn't believe that they did not even bother. If AEW did that exact same story, people would not stop hand-wringing. Yeah. Where Tony doesn't know what he's doing. He just stopped the story and change. But then John Cena comes out with his old gear and just goes, hell, that was wild. All right, anyway, I'm back. Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, you didn't even try. They didn't even say, all right, we got to come up with some sort of idea here. We can't just leave the fans. They literally just came out and he went, oh, wow, geez. All right, anyway, what's up, everybody? I'm John Cena. Like, what's going on?
And then the guy admits it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who cares? What are you going to do?
Blows my mind that just happened and nobody cared.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Nothing you can do. You know what you can do? You go watch Steve Regal versus Rocky.
Right, you go watch that Great American Bash house show with no commentary on it. So.
Right. So yeah, everyone would agree that this retirement tour sucks. Are WWE fans even into this? That's a question I wanted to pose to you. I don't get the sense that they really are.
I really don't either.
It has no buzz. It has no juice. It was such a weird tournament with weird people. Like, they dusted off Sheamus. They brought in fucking Zack Ryder, like, as a big surprise.
Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, Dolph. Like, who cares? Like, this whole thing has no juice, and it's, you know, the heel turn was a mess in the middle of it, and I don't even get the sense that their fans are super into this. Like, it's gonna. Now, look, I'm sure it'll be a great moment, or maybe it won't be in real time against Gunther of all people. Did you see the Gunther quote?
I don't know. No, I don't know if I did.
I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
Again, paraphrasing. Gunther admitted that when he was a fan, he hated John Cena. So they're really doing a bang-up job laying all this out. It's Cena admits that the heel turn was ill-advised and they didn't know what they were going to do and no one cares. And Gunther's flat out saying, they picked me for this, but you know what? I was never a Cena fan.
All right, get into it. Let's go.
Yeah. Right. Let's go. So it's just all strange all around. Gunther's a weird opponent. The tournament was weird. The whole retirement year has been weird. And this just doesn't feel, and it's happening in a couple days, right?
Yeah,
it's happening on Saturday. And, you know, I mean, I have to keep reminding myself it's coming. It's like, I don't know.
But I found that really weird, too. And we'll do your exercise, and then I kind of want to have a little thought exercise with you as well. But let's do your thought exercise first, and then.
Well, look at that. Hold on now. There's someone in the chat. It has no juice because his career had no juice. All right, stop. It's John Cena. We're not going to do that here. Okay, it's John Cena. The guy's an all-time legend. He's one of the biggest stars in the history of the business. That's not the reason his retirement tour stinks.
Love him or hate him. And for the most part, I hated him and disliked him. But that was a part of my fandom. I mean, that was a huge part of this website being created was, you know, the match that created this whole fucking website was, you know, the whole thing. And all this was, you know, watching John Cena versus CM Punk in Chicago. And that match, it takes two to tango. And it wasn't just CM Punk was in Chicago. It was we all wanted John Cena dead. We hated that guy. We hated everything he stood for. We hated the fact that WWE pushed him down our fucking throats. Yeah. I mean, Gunther, right.
You and Gunther
are watching this guy going, fuck this guy, right?
Don't forget when Gunther had his chance to pick like the WWE Vault match of the week or whatever, he picked Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome from an ECW show.
From One Night Stand 05, I think. Yeah. Which is awesome. Yeah. But, there was a lot there. And I guess that was my thought experiment. That's kind of why I wanted to bring that up to you is like, we should care about this. We should. John Cena, who for better or for worse has been a major part of major professional wrestling, the biggest professional wrestling company in the world, has been a major part of this company for 2 decades. We've all whether you loved him or hate him, most of the time hated him, most of the time was annoyed about him, but he was a main event fixture, a top fixture, a top star for decades. And he's retiring in a couple of days, and it's like, I don't give a fuck. Just go away. I don't feel a thing, and I should feel a thing when this guy's retiring. I should feel either, hey, good, get out of here, or, oh man, that's it. That's the last time I'm ever going to see Cena. I don't feel a thing. I forget it's happening. Like you said, Joe, earlier this week, I had no idea Saturday Night's Main Event with his final match was this weekend. And it wasn't until like Tuesday or Wednesday or something that someone said something. I went, shit, that's this Saturday. I think it was when I knew it? On Dynamite. When they said we have a special start time this weekend for Collision. And I'm like, well, what the fuck's going on? Why is Collision on a special start time? And I went, Saturday Night's Main Event. I said, wait a minute. That's John Cena's last match, right? That's coming up this Saturday, and I didn't feel a thing. I didn't care. I didn't notice it. We're not talking about we're not doing any coverage. Like nobody, and to your point, I
don't feel like many people are.
Exactly. I don't think anybody is. And there's these haphazard, people are kind of cobbling together these countdowns, this week. I've seen a couple of like WWE.com is like, oh crap, we better do like a top 15 John Cena moments or whatever. It's just like these things like this is John Cena retiring. And you've known that he's going to retire for an entire year. And it's like, it's all kind of in the last week. Oh yeah, shoot, we should probably put a countdown up or whatever. Like, I assumed that when this guy was going to call it quits at the beginning of the year when he says this is it for me, that it was going to be this big, just gigantic like rollout, and we were all just going to be. It was going to be annoying. Like we were going to be annoyed and just say, I'm sick of this guy. I want him to go away. It's just I'm so annoyed by this retirement. I mean, fuck. Great Muda's bye-bye was annoying to the point that it was just constantly being rammed down your throat or whatever. The Cena thing is like it's out of sight, out of mind. It's so weird. I just never thought we'd be in this position. It's not because his career had no juice. It was the opposite of that. His career had a ton of juice. It's that I think WWE just absolutely fumbled the fuck out of this, and it should be looked back on in history as just an all-time fumble because we should feel something. We should feel something when this guy's retiring, and I have no emotions.
And again, I don't think it's because we don't particularly enjoy WWE. I just don't think this thing has any juice. Okay, so here's the thought exercise I wanted to do. We've had a lot of these high-profile retirement tours. You mentioned Keiji Muto. Look, they did like 3 different retirement shows for him. They all drew big houses. They're some of the biggest houses that Noah had drawn in years and bigger than anything they've done since. From a business standpoint, I don't know how you can't give that an A. Would you agree?
Of course, yeah.
From a business standpoint. Now, from an aesthetic standpoint, I hated those fucking matches. I was sick of this guy even before he went on his retirement tour. And I thought that he was incredibly selfish and refused to put Kaito Kiyomiya over properly. So from that standpoint, I give it an F. But from a business standpoint, I give his retirement an A. Would you disagree with either of those assessments?
So from a business an A and from a creative, yeah, I don't even know. But yeah, I did not like it. I thought the matches were pretty terrible. I thought the creative decisions, the booking decisions were pretty terrible along the way. And yeah, the matches did nothing for me. So yeah, I didn't like the in-ring, but the business was no doubt probably an A+. You could put it at. I mean, he was doing big houses for Noah, huge houses.
I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, he probably should have just stayed the fuck away from Kaito Kiyomiya. I mean, they sold it as Kiyomiya eating shit from this guy being a benefit to him, but obviously that didn't work out.
Yeah, it never helped him.
Kiyomiya came out of that worse than he went in. And the people that argued with us disappeared. Can't find him with a search party. Sting. So I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
Yeah.
I will maintain this. To me, the handling of Sting from start to finish, from his debut in AEW until his retirement, is the Tony Khan magnum opus of booking. It was perfect. I wouldn't change a single thing, from the presentation to the matches, to the fact he never did a singles match, to the fact he never lost, to the fact that he was paired up and helped elevate Darby. The retirement match itself was perfect. It drew money. It was one of the biggest shows in AEW history, one of the biggest AEW shows in North American history. A+ all around, and Tony Khan has never topped himself from a booking perspective, and probably never will with his handling of Sting. I think it is one of the best pieces of end-to-end booking in the history of the modern business. Am I too strong on that? Or do you agree?
No, I 100% agree. I think from day one until it wrapped up, A+, whatever you want to say, top 10 out of 10, A+, whatever, 5-star, 100%. From starting off with cinematic matches too, to kind of figure out where his body was and where his head was at or whatever. He came out and he would, just stand on the ramp and the snow would come down, and he did that for a couple weeks just to kind of get an idea, let everybody know, hey, Sting's back or whatever. And then, his first quote-unquote match back was that cinematic match, right?
Yeah, with Brian Cage and Ricky Starks versus Sting and Darby Allin in the warehouse.
Yeah, which was pretty good for a cinematic match. Was pretty fucking good. But that was okay, let's kind of see where Sting's body's at, where his physical abilities are. And then little by little, it was all right, every single match we're going to have him do a little bit more. We're going to link him up with Darby. And that's going to be a great idea, is to link him up with Darby. And then we're going to see where his body's at a little bit more. And then it would be all right, he's going to come in the ring and he's going to do a Stinger Splash. Okay, that worked out fine. That's all right. All right, he's going to come in the ring this time. He's going to do a Scorpion Deathlock. Okay, that worked out pretty well. And then he just said, you know what? I'm good, man. I'll just go off the fucking balcony through a table. And they're like, all right, sure. And that was awesome. That stuff was fucking great. So, Sting A+. And then obviously the final match was just an incredible, incredible match. One of the greatest matches that I've ever seen. One of the most emotional matches I've ever seen. That was a match where in the days leading to it, you felt something. You know what I mean? I felt something that night. That was a show that I straight up a couple of days prior said, you know what? Nothing was going on that weekend. We were going to do Instant Reaction Live. Yeah. I looked at plane tickets. I was like, should I be there? Should I try to make sure I'm there for that? Because that's going to be a fucking great moment. And the tickets were sold out, or it was just, and I was like, I'll make more money. It'd be better to just stay home. I'll make more money. It'll be fine. It'll be easier or whatever. But I thought about it. I really, truly thought about it. That's an A+. And it made you, from a motion standpoint, from a business standpoint, from an in-ring standpoint, A+, A+, A+ across the board for Sting. Yes.
Drew money at the start, popped quarter hours, popped ratings, filled up Greensboro Coliseum, perfect building at the end. 10 out of 10. S tier. Can't do it any better. All tornado tags where he was protected and hidden and still works hard. Like you said, balcony dives and everything else. Just pitch perfect. Tanahashi. Now listen, the guy's working his ass off. You cannot question his work ethic. He's had more singles matches this year than any other year in his career post Young Lion. He worked the G1. He's working every tour. The matches are hit or miss because he's a broken down old man, but the effort's there. He's had some very pleasant surprises in terms of matches. He had the final match in the U.S., which was kind of a big deal by New Japan Strong standards. And obviously, this is going to be one of the biggest Wrestle Kingdoms in history. It's finally drawing at the end. Now, it didn't draw in between. He meant nothing on the G1. His final match in each of these towns or whatever hasn't meant anything. But they're showing up for the retirement match in a big way. They're overflowing that dome. So for the Tanahashi retirement, to me, the dome fixes everything else, and I'm giving it an A for business. And as far as the presentation, the aesthetics and all that, I'm going to go B+, because it's not as if they haven't tried to make it special. He's working all of those singles matches on purpose against all of these guys, right, to give them a chance to work against him. He's had all these title matches, one last chance to try to win all of these titles, and he keeps coming up short. They've done fun things. His body just doesn't always agree.
Yeah, he's gone to other places too. He's wrestled in Dragon Gate. He's wrestled in Noah. Like he's bounced around to different territories too. Promotions as well. So
all in all, I think it's a good retirement tour, a really good one.
Yeah,
and it's going to end great. I don't care if the match with Okada is good or not. They are overflowing that fucking dome. And that's So
it's going to be an incredible moment. And that guy cries for everything. I mean, he cried after a good wrestling match at this year's Wrestle Kingdom. You're going to watch that match, and when it's over, I don't know if he's going to be able to contain himself at the beginning of the match. I don't know if he's going to be able to contain himself during the match. And I know for a fact he's not going to be able to contain himself after the match. So that's going to be an emotional moment, and I know that I'm going to feel the same way too, because that's a guy who, you know, my wrestling fandom and this website and this podcast, all that stuff. You know, without Tanahashi and without Okada, I mean, that this shit probably doesn't. I don't know if it might exist. I don't know, but it's not successful. It's not what it you know, ended up being. I mean, those guys are so integral to everything we did, and I owe so much of my wrestling fandom and the current state of my wrestling fandom to Tanahashi and to Okada, but particularly, you know, in this case, Tanahashi. And it's gonna feel, I'm definitely, I feel it. You know what I mean? We're not quite there yet. So it's not exactly top of mind, but it's going to start getting top of mind now in the next couple of weeks. Now that it's like, all right, we're the runway's clear. Voiceswrestling.com. Look out for next week and the next 2 weeks. A lot of Tanahashi content coming your way there. We got stuff planned to just kind of do a tribute to him. I'm sure we'll do something here on this podcast. I'm going to feel it. There's going to be an emotion there, and you bet your ass that we're going to start off the show as we preview Wrestle Kingdom about Hiroshi Tanahashi's last match and his career and his life and all that sort of stuff. No, business wise, yeah. You want to go A because they're going to put like 50,000 in the dome. That's fine.
I'm going A.
Yeah, I can't go A plus because obviously it hasn't worked all over the place, right. But I can go A. I mean, they're about to have one of the biggest Wrestle Kingdoms. They've had in quite some time and maybe ever. So no, business wise that, and then aesthetically, like the bell to bell isn't great, but he's working his ass off. He's trying. Like I cannot believe he has done as many singles matches as he has, and I can't believe he's held up. Like I mentioned, I had that conversation with you in the summer. I was like, dude, I don't know. This guy better chill out because if he gets hurt and he can't have his retirement match, that's going to really suck. So he should really chill out. And he really hasn't. He's just kind of worked, and now he's good. He's healthy, and he's going to go into that match healthy for you know, presumably, and that's going to be really cool to see. So yeah, it's good. It's a good retirement tour for sure.
El Hijo del Santo.
Well, according to voicesofwrestling.com, if you want to read all about that, because yes, that legend is also retiring this weekend. You might not know that, but Cubs fan wrote a very good article at voicesofwrestling.com covering why that doesn't feel like a very memorable retirement tour and why he is, you know, and he's had numerous quote unquote retirements, but everybody kind of thinks this is really it. This one on Saturday, but it's a whimper. It's ending with the whimper. So I haven't been following it all, but reading that article from Cubs fan Lucha Blog kind of put into perspective how poorly that one has gone.
Very poorly. You got to go F's all around on that one. I got one more. JDC, the former Fandango. So he comes up short against Frankie Kazarian.
God.
At Final Resolution.
I thought you were going to go with Mentai Kid. No, you went with the JDC.
But he has he is wrapping it up. He's wrapping it up at Genesis later next year, and he's going to he is called out. I'm looking at my notes.
I don't remember. I'm not saving you here because I don't know who the hell he called out.
Who did he call out for the final match?
I don't know. I'm not answering. I don't know. I actually truly don't know.
And of course, he wants to face Eddie Edwards at Genesis for his final match. So in this pantheon of all-time greats, we've got the son of Santo. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi. We have Sting. We have John Cena. And we have JDC all wrapping it up on their retirement tours. How do you grade the Fandango retirement tour, Rich Craig?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, he got to finally main event and participate in Final Resolution, his final resolution. So that was really cool.
Yes.
To see. He got a chance at the TNA World title, just came up just short. Very emotional at the end.
And by the way, can we put to bed this burning debate over how many Final Resolutions JDC has worked? Because now the answer is truly one. Yes, I know you weren't counting that pre-show match.
I did not count the countdown to Final Resolution from last year.
I don't think that's fair. I think you're off base. I was going to write a think piece about it, but I let it slide.
But now, once and for all, we're good.
Once and for all, we're good. This man has worked his final Resolution and officially worked a Final Resolution show. So I think the egg is on your face.
It is. Boy, is my face red. I'm very embarrassed by how things went. But watching the TNA show, I couldn't believe the gall of like Tom Phillips to be like, JDC, he's at a lengthy career, multiple decades. He's worked all across the world. And I'm like, you're talking about Fandango, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
he had the emotional pre-tape.
Yeah, I'm like, what is
package.
happening? Like, what is this? Like, I guess it's really nice of them to do this, but I'm like, it's fucking Johnny Curtis. Like, what's happening here? Like,
I have a special guest to explain it to you. I'm gonna bring in this special guest.
Wow,
right
incredible! I didn't even know this. See, you spring stuff on me all the time. All right, who is it?
Bully Ray is here, and he's
Holy
gonna tell
shit!
you why.
Hi, Bully. Wow.
Yeah.
Big fan. Hey, Bully. That my co-host Joe Lanza, he thinks there's hundreds of tag teams better than you. I disagree. Dudley Boy's
Shut up.
top 5 all time. What?
Shut up.
Shut up, you mock.
Rich Craich, I got something to say.
Yes, Bully.
This is why TNA Wrestling is the new number 2. Because they tell stories. JDC, you're emotionally invested. Rich Craig, are you not emotionally invested in JDC? After what my good friend Tommy Dreamer put together at Final Resolution? Rich Craig, they tell stories. They're not chasing star ratings. You have to admit, Rich, Bully Ray makes a very compelling argument.
Is he still there?
Yes, he is.
He is. Okay, sorry. I didn't know if he hung up or.
Well, here's the thing. No, he's here.
Okay.
He's sitting with his arms folded, leaning back in his seat, smirking because he knows you can't possibly
me. I mean, he got
respond.
my ass. He absolutely got my ass.
He
yeah,
got
he's,
your ass.
He's definitely right. I mean, there was. I don't know why I'm talking to the third person. Bully, you're absolutely right. I watched TNA Final Resolution on TNA Plus because I am a TNA Plus subscriber and I want to support them as they work their way to the new number 2 based off this AMC deal that's coming up. But Bully, I agree. I had no idea. I laughed about this last week. I don't know if you listened to it. You probably didn't because you wouldn't listen to a Mark podcast anyway. But we were talking about the show last week, and I buried it. I thought it was ridiculous that Fandango, Johnny Curtis, Johnny Armadillo, all these names that he used to be in the past, and Kurt Hussey, I think he was at one point. Like I was like, it's Fandango. Who gives a shit? But what I found out is that if you have a good storyteller, if you tell good stories, which TNA does, Tommy Dreamer, Delirious, they're doing a great job over there, obviously, as they're accelerating towards number 2.
You're answering this earnestly.
But it's like, I'm coming in saying it's just Fandango. Who cares? But they made me care. TNA Wrestling, Tommy Dreamer, Delirious made me care because I saw that promo. I saw him come out. I saw the emotion. I saw the system walk out with them. Moose, shaking his shoulders, being like, you got this, man. You got this, man. And then I saw the emotion when it didn't happen. When it didn't happen for Johnny Curtis. And I get it. I absolutely get it. So you're right. They told a fantastic story there. And yeah, it's A pluses across the board. A pluses across the board for the JDC retirement. I can't wait to see his match with, what was it, Joe? You said Eddie Edwards that he's going to face? Eddie Edwards. Fellow The System member, Eddie Edwards. Huh? It's like a system versus system here?
Listen, you have to
Bully, they're both in the system, right?
Watch the product, Rich Craich.
Yeah. Hey, Bully, big fan of. I'm so glad that SiriusXM gave you guys a 24/7 network. I love it, and I love the programming as well. It's one thing that I told Joe I was really excited when they went 24/7, and I said I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And then they have your show. They have your show again. They play your show like 6 times. Then there's the Sam Roberts podcast. I'm a huge fan. It's called Not Sam, which is really funny. And I get it. I totally get it. I really understand why it's called Not Sam.
You get the bit.
I get the bit totally. I mean, there's people that are like, it's called the Not Sam podcast, but it's hosted by Sam Roberts. That's not me. I get the bit. You're right. You're right. I'm a mark. I know. Jonathan Coachman. John Coachman.
Ignore that like 4 of us are literally employed by WWE. Ignore that, Rich Craich. I'm busted open 24/7.
Yep.
It does not influence our opinions.
No, and why would it?
Or our takes. I gotta go now.
Okay, bye, Bully. I know you got you and hey, tell Greca, big fan as well. Love what you do there. you guys on Busted Open. So really good stuff. Hey, SiriusXM, we'll plug them right here. SiriusXM channel, I'll insert it in post, whatever it is, 241.
The problem is it's in your favorites, and you just press the button in your car, and it comes right on, so you don't know what channel it is.
I don't. No, I don't. I will admit that there was, when it first launched, there was a couple weeks. Bully's gone now, so I can just say there was a couple weeks where he's gone. Okay, thank you. I don't want to get mad at me or whatever, but there was a couple weeks where I was like, you know what, I should probably know what this is and like listen to it, and I don't.
We have another guest.
I can't believe it.
Ron Fuller is.
Oh my God, Ron Fuller, what's up, man? Does he have anything to say about Steve Regal or what? Is he?
No, he wants to talk about retirement tours. I think. Isn't
interesting?
That right, Ron Fuller? Well, yeah, we had a retirement tour for Wildcat Wendell Cooley in '87, but it didn't draw a dime. I don't know who this JDC cat is, but it don't appear to be drawing a dime for Dixie Carter's outfit either. I gotta go now, Rich Creed.
Bye, Ron Fuller. I would have thought Ron Fuller would have thought that Jarrett, I don't know what Jarrett's doing with them weekly pay-per-views, but it's ambitious. But weekly pay-per-views, my oh my, I don't know about that. Hopefully he's got a good businessman working for him.
You would never mock him to his face. You waited for him to leave.
Of course. He's 6. How tall is that man?
He's like
6'5", 6'10". Yeah, he's a big boy. I'm not talking to Tennessee Ron Fuller with that big ass wang. Hell no, I ain't talking to him. So.
No, well, the brother has the big wang. Yes.
Look, you don't think Ron's packing too? I know Rob is. I know Rob famously has the large penis. I'm positive Ron has a big. You can't be 6'9" with that amount of charisma and that amount of. He's got to have a huge dick, right?
He's got the confidence of a man,
right? Exactly.
With a giant dick, and he's 6'10" and has really long fingers. So I think you're on to something,
right?
Yeah.
Well, that was incredible. I'm glad. I wish we could have talked a little bit more to Ron Fuller, but he comes and goes.
He's a busy man.
He's a busy man. He's booking. What territory has he bought?
Yeah,
that he's going to sell for
twice what he paid for it after he burns it out. I don't know.
We gotta. You know what? We gotta see if somebody knows Ron Fuller. I bet. God, I wonder if like Tony Richards. We gotta absolutely one of those times make that joke and then actually go to Ron Fuller.
Right.
How awesome would that be on like a anniversary show or whatever? We go to it and you're like, all right, it's Ron Fuller. And he's like, hey, what's up? It's Tennessee Ron Fuller. And we're like, what?
Well, I heard you boys have been ribbing the audience for years now.
Right.
Well, here I am in the flesh. And it's me, Ron Fuller.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's actually there.
Yeah, and he's actually there. And then we just talk about Continental for 3.5 hours, which would be fine with me. Yeah.
Absolutely. He'll have plenty of Buck Robley stories for us.
Right. And I'm so who did he have the Wildcat Wendell Cooley? I had to mute for a sec. The Wildcat Wendell Cooley retirement tour.
Yeah.
Boy, I reckon this ain't drawn very well. I'm sorry, Cooley. You're killing Knoxville. This ain't working. Oh, God. That's so good. That's a stupid show. Anyway, John Cena's retiring. Who cares?
I haven't seen houses this small in Alabama since that smart aleck Eddie Gilbert had the book. Oh, he thought he knew it all.
Pulling on doing the collar thing the entire time too. He'd like hold his collar, like he's doing that the entire time with the cowboy hat on.
With the two thumbs.
With the two thumbs, yeah.
I love how it's an amalgamation of the two brothers. The character,
yes,
it's not. It's like
as you said. Your impression of Ron Fuller is Ron Fuller doing an impression of his brother Rob Fuller.
Yes, pretty much.
Actually, I don't know if I know what Ron Fuller is. I mean, I assume he sounds like Rob Fuller, right?
He sounds nothing like. But
does he not?
Don't ruin the bit.
Oh, I thought he did. He doesn't actually?
No, he does. They both sound exactly like Foghorn Leghorn. Yes.
Yes.
They
Okay.
both
Thank
sound
you. Yeah.
exactly like that. Yes.
Well, I also imagine Rob Foley might not always sound like Tennessee Lee in his free time, but I would like to think that he does.
No, don't. Come on. Kayfabe, brother. Yeah. I hope he does. That would be incredible. Just ordering at the drive-thru and Foghorn Leghorn voice.
It's Tennessee. It's the Tennessee stud. Rob Ford, introducing himself at the drive-thru.
Yes. Introduction, the whole thing. Right. The whole bit. Yeah. Well, that's John Cena's retirement tour.
I mean, that's perfect. Is there a better way to recap John Cena? I mean, that's it. That's it. Like, who fucking cares? Who gives a shit? And that I truly, I don't mean this to be these guys hate WWE. I don't care, and I should. And I think the problem is that the flop of the retirement tour, it's just been horrible. His second to last match was he lost to Dom Mysterio via like nefarious means. I mean, what are they doing? And this will not be, and the thing about this is, this will not be held to any standard. Nobody will look back at this. This won't be looked back at a complete botching of this guy's retirement tour. That the easiest layup in history is, they knew when he was going to retire. It wasn't like a debilitating injury took this guy out and he just said, you know what? I wrestled. I broke my neck. I'm not wrestling again. I'm done. You know what I mean? They had a year out saying this is when this guy is going to retire. We can book from this point to this point, and this is what they've done, and this is what they've come up with. It just sucks. It's just really, really bad. And I mean, maybe it'll feel a little bit better on Saturday, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I should feel something, and I feel nothing, and that's just I never thought it would be this case with John Cena, but whatever. Saturday night's main event, whole show here. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending the WWE World Tag Team titles against Javon Evans and Leon Slater. So a lot of young talent getting a spotlight here on Saturday night's main event, streaming exclusively on Peacock. Not on NBC proper, just exclusively on Peacock, which probably is not helping the John Cena retirement tour, is that it's finishing up with a Peacock-only show. Bayley versus Sol Ruca. I know you're circling that one on Saturday. Can you imagine it's Bayley in the current state of her body taking that fucking soul snatcher move? It's going to be horrible. But Cody Rhodes versus Oba Femi. Non-title, of course. Cody Rhodes versus Oba Femi. And then John Cena versus Gunther in John Cena's final match. So it's an interesting show, I got to say, to see the young talent kind of mixing it up with the top talent. So I don't know. Maybe I'll feel something once that show happens, but I don't know. Because you don't feel anything, right? You don't care one way or another. I didn't think so. Yeah. I got nothing. I just don't. Yeah, I'm exactly where you are. All right. Let's move on to let's do ROH Final Battle 2025. So ROH Final Battle 2025. This is streaming, of course, on watchroh.com, so you can watch it there. The 0 Hour was available on YouTube. So I did watch the 0 Hour. Joe, I believe you probably did as well with the Final Battle 2025. But do you want to quickly go over the 0 Hour, or do you want to just go right to the main card?
Wow, I slipped away to take a piss, and while you were running down that Saturday night's main event card, I thought for sure TNA would be the next topic up, but no, you've pushed it even further down the line, and we're doing the ROH right now. We're doing the ROH, huh?
Yeah, TNA can wait.
Yeah, I did watch the 0 Hour.
Okay, I did too.
0 Hour. So my one big takeaway of these four matches was that I don't know what happened, but I thought Ace Austin versus Lee Johnson stunk. Did you come away thinking that match stunk?
I did not like it very much, no.
I don't know what was going on, but I like both of those guys, and I just thought that they were like on different planets. For whatever reason, that match just didn't work for me at all. But the rest of it, really whatever. Layla Gray versus Zeta Steel, who could possibly care? I don't know what they see in Zeta Steel, but who knows? Maybe she'll develop. The Outrunners over Aria Daivari and Tony Nese, perfectly crumulent.
I enjoyed that.
Tag team match.
I love the Premier Athletes.
Yeah.
That whole shtick is great. And that is like lame pro wrestling, but it's lame pro wrestling at its best. You know what I mean? I always said this. Tony Nese, if I was starting a wrestling company, he'd be one of the first guys I call because like a glue guy, a great glue guy. We're talking about Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal, Ari Daivari, and Tony Nese with smart Mark Sterling, and now his Story Denali is a perfect thing. These guys come out, they're brick shit houses. Tony Nese is just flexing all over the place and showing everybody his guns. Smart Mark Sterling goes, all right, I want everybody to say the Premier Athletes rule or whatever, rock or whatever. And everybody goes, they suck. And he goes, oh, damn it, I'm so mad. And then they just work like shitbag heels and the Outrunners just beat them. And it's just, it's simple pro wrestling. But I love the Premier Athletes. I think that gimmick is perfect. And now you add in like I think they call her 6'7". I don't think she's quite 6'7" or whatever, but the tall woman, Story Denali, who's still very green. And they're obviously working on developing her. But I think it's a really fun act. It's a great opening act, and it's great. Yeah, great contrast to the Outrunners too, because they're an act that's super over as a kind of a lame, for lack of a better term, bayface tag team, but it's good. This is the kind of BS pro wrestling that I don't mind. This is old school, classic heel bayface. For me,
match. It's a prelim
match. I don't mind if my prelims are a little goofy, and it's goofy for the sense that like you're supposed to boo the heels and think they're lame, and you're supposed to cheer the baby faces. That's the essence. That's what it is. And Mark Sterling, that guy gets in the ring. Nobody's cheering for smart Mark Sterling. Everyone's booing him, and everybody wants to see his guys get their asses kicked. That's the essence right there. That's the game.
So the Death Riders beat the Grizzled Young Veterans, and I was reminded that the Grizzled Young Veterans allegedly work here. Every time they have a match, I am reminded that they allegedly work here. So,
and allegedly they're signed, and I guess getting money and maybe a paycheck or whatever. Okay, cool,
sure. So Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Utah defeat those two guys. All right. So the main card, my overarching thought of the ROH final battle. Hot take zone. I didn't like this show. I know most people did. I don't know where you stand, but I thought it was boring. I thought there was way too much filler in the middle. And I felt watching this like ROH is a completely dead brand. That was my takeaway watching this show. This is a dead brand. The fans that bothered to come to this thing in Columbus didn't give a shit and were cold all night. Nothing felt hot beyond, I will say this, I thought the show got off to a good start and then just died on the vine. Mm-hmm. And I was not a fan of the stuff at the end that everybody else seems to have enjoyed a lot. And I will explain why when we do the review. I feel like it's a dead brand. And I crash watched the last 2 or 3. Was it 2? Well, it was 3 episodes of the ROH TV. This was not a well-built show at all. There was only a couple of matches on this show that really had any kind of significant build on the television. It just felt like we talked about in the preview, it felt like a lot of this show was just thrown together. And when that happens, it really doesn't even matter if the matches are really great or not. It's hard for fans to connect when there's just no build. I mean, and a lot of these matches had no build. So I thought the show peaked early. I thought it struggled a lot in the middle. And I didn't like the stuff at the end nearly as much as I suspect that other people did, and maybe you did too. And overall, I came away from this. This is the first time I watched an ROH pay-per-view and said to myself, I'm good. I don't need any more of this. If this went away tomorrow, no problem. Because normally when I watch these ROH pay-per-views, I'm like, oh, that was fun. I can do this 4 times a year. These are really good. I don't know, man. I came away from this with like, I don't need this in my life.
So
what'd you think?
I ended up close to you. So the first 3 matches happened, and I liked all 3. I thought the ROH Women's Pure Title Tournament Final was pretty good. The 30-minute Iron Man match with Moriarty and Nigel, I loved. I loved that match. And then Red Velvet and Mercedes Moné, I liked a lot too. So I'm like, man, 3 for 3. This is a hell of a show. And I'm thinking the exact opposite. I'm like, ROH rocks. Like, we need to do more with ROH. I don't know why we're not doing more with ROH. I had this like crisis of like, oh man, like this. I'm so glad ROH exists, and I'm so glad it's here, and it's such an important brand, and I'm glad it's staying alive, and I'm glad these shows happen. And then I was like, all right, here we go. Adam Priest, Tommy Billington versus Guevara and Beast Mortals. Here we go. And then I thought that match stunk. And then Eddie Kingston and Josh Woods happened, and I had no thoughts on that match. I was just like, what the fuck? There was nothing there. The ROH 6-man tag team titles of Shane Taylor versus Skyflight, I thought that was okay. And then Ricochet Dalton Castle I thought was bad. I did. I hated the survival of the fittest match. Hated that match. Could not stand.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I thought that stunk, and I'm like, I don't know. Does ROH stink? And then I thought Athena and Persephone was fucking brutal.
I hated that.
Never ending. Never ending. I'm like, fuck, get out of my ring. Get out of my goddamn ring and go away. Like, I saw the time bar, and I'm like, well, there's got to be some gaga after this match. There's no way someone wrote Athena versus Persephone. Yeah, 27 minutes. You guys are good, right? You guys want to go 27? No problem. Do that. I thought there had to be something. There was a reason my video file had so much time left on it. No. They just wrestled and wrestled and wrestled and wrestled and wrestled and wrestled, and nobody gave a fuck. Nobody in that building gave a shit about Athena versus Persephone. And when the show was over, I was like, fuck, this show stunk. I loved the first three matches. After Lee Moriarty and Nigel McGuinness, I was like, I'm so glad Ring of Honor exists. I'm so glad this thing exists. And Tony Khan saved this brand, and I'm so glad he did, and it should just last forever. And then, yeah, just boom, 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 boom. The rest of the show did nothing for me in the final two matches. I hated both the final two matches. So ultimately, yeah, I came away kind of the same that you did, which is wild because I was the exact opposite, a couple hours into the show, or an hour or so into the show.
I mean, they introduced Persephone, and no one in that building gave a shit. It was almost like no one knew who she was.
No, they didn't know.
Now, I did watch, and they did give her some wins in the lead up on the TV. I'll give them credit for that. They did give her a couple wins. Squash wins over nobodies in the lead up. I don't remember who she wrestled. Here's the thing with Athena. She's had this title for 3 years. And they're making a big deal over how she's dominated this title and everything. They put her in the main event of most, if not all, of these pay-per-views. You know what it comes across like? Because in this 3 years that she's had this title, there was a brief period in year one where I think she was legitimately over and they had something. And instead of bringing her to AEW, they left her in ROH. And whatever she briefly had in that first year has been gone for 2 years.
Yeah.
She's not over.
Oh, no, the people in Columbus they don't care who Athena is.
This match was largely heatless.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, here's what she is, and this is going to be a weird comp. She's almost like when WWE insists that somebody is a star, but we really know that they're not. That's what Athena is to ROH. She's had this title for 3 years. They put her in the main event of all the pay-per-views. They insist that she's this star and that she's carrying the brand. And if Athena hit the fucking money ball tomorrow and retired from pro wrestling, it would make absolutely zero difference to ROH, to AEW, to any of this. She's not a star.
No.
She doesn't mean anything. They haven't even effectively gotten her over because they got her over at the start of this push.
They missed the window 2 years ago. 2 fucking years ago, Joe. Final Battle 2023 was the window. That was when people were bought into Athena and bought into Billy Starks beating Athena. Like, legit. And it might seem impossible to believe, but I promise you, on Ring of Honor television and in Ring of Honor and in the greater AEW/Ring of Honor universe, people were okay with it. Final Battle 2023, Billy Starks is going to beat Athena, and then Athena's going to go to AEW, and then she's going to join that and start anew as a member of the AEW. And she's going to come in with a ton of momentum and say, hey, I was the ROH World Champion for 2 years, and yada, 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 whatever. That was Final Battle 2023.
And we talked about that at the time. What a mistake that was. And here we are, and it's just another egregiously long match. I don't get her. There are people who live and die by these matches. I don't get it. They're long. This one wasn't bad like some of the Billy Starks matches were, which I thought were flat out legitimately bad matches. This is too long because it was two people that the fans weren't invested in this. Persephone, I have to pull up these matches now because I have to know. Persephone beating Valentina Rossi and Diamante, who seconds.
Okay, yeah, all right.
In the lead up to this, did not effectively build her for this alleged main event pay-per-view match, which is a main event pay-per-view match in name only because again, They stick Athena in the main events of these things because it's like that WWE thing where they just insist that Randy Orton is some iconic all-time star when the reality is he means nothing in the history of the company. That might be getting a little far, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
He means very little in the grand scheme. Athena means she's not this huge star. She shouldn't be main eventing over Bandito because I think they want Bandito to be a major star. Well, then treat him like one and put him in the main event. Or here's where they've gone wrong with Athena. Okay, I'm going to tell you where they went wrong. Whenever she comes to AEW, she's treated like a mid-card nobody. So that totally invalidates the 3-year title reign in ROH.
Right, what's the
point? And this big push she's getting because you're telling your fans that when she's in AEW, she's just a nobody who is a 50-50, wins 50, is a 50-50 on the fucking tread, on the, wins some, lose some. If she was treated special when she comes to AEW, this might all be working. But they don't treat her special when she comes to AEW. She's just another women's wrestler on the roster who happens to carry around this ROH title. It's a half measure push, which they pretend is some big deal, and it isn't. When she comes to AEW, she should dominate. Why isn't she just completely undefeated over the last 3? If you're going to push somebody, push them. That's why she got no reaction. That's why no one cares about this anymore. Because when the rubber hits the road and she's doing something that really means something, meaning being on AEW TV, they don't treat her like she's anything special. So this is what you get.
Yeah. So
we'll do this all over again when it's time for fucking Super Card of Honor, whatever fucking pay-per-view's next. She'll be main eventing against fucking Layla Gray or something. And they'll put it on last and they'll, oh my God, she's had the title for 16 and a half years. And no one is going to give a shit.
No one will care. Yeah.
No one will care. And I'm tired of being nice.
It's also not going to matter when she eventually loses that title. When you have a long title reign like this, there's a couple ways to do it. As long as it keeps the momentum going, then yeah, you can have a long title reign, and then it's not going to mean a thing. Whoever it is that beats Athena for this title is not, because this title doesn't matter anymore, because you've told people this title doesn't matter anymore. It's not an important title. The holder of it's largely a geek, and yes, she's in the semifinals or whatever. She's in the main event of every a pay-per-view, but in AEW, she's a geek, like you said. It's not going to matter. I mean, and it's been so long that everyone's just kind of ready for it to be over, and that's not a way to book a long title reign. They just booked it. It's too long. It went on way too long. They have no idea what else to do with Athena. They clearly don't value her very much, because she'd be up in AEW if they did value her very much. I know that's a take that I've had for a while, because people always said, well, they got to do this for Athena and that for Athena. I'm like, if Tony wanted Athena, he'd have Athena. She's part of his, like, if he wanted her on AEW television every single week, he would do it. He clearly doesn't. So he's got some thoughts about Athena, whatever they may be, that he thinks that maybe this is her level, and he might be right. I don't know, but it's just, yeah, we're at a point now where it's like, this has gone on way too long. We missed the peak by 2 years, and now we're just spinning our wheels, and we're giving undeserved main event spots for her at this point, and it's just, yeah, it's another bad match, and I dread these matches when I see them coming out, and I'm just like, oh, here we go. So I'll be right back. Give me a sec. Yeah.
So there's a little pushback in the chat that all right, maybe nobody is strong. She's not treated special in AEW. You can't tell me she's treated special in AEW. I don't give a shit about winning some dopey casino gauntlet, okay? She was in 2 casino gauntlets. She lost the other one, all right? She lost to Toni Storm at Forbidden Door. Her tag team lost in the first round of the stupid AEW tag team tournament, okay? So yeah, she got a couple wins here and there on the main roster, but yeah, she got knocked out in the first round of the tag team tournament. She got knocked out in the second round of the Owen. She lost the first casino gauntlet she was in. She's not treated special. She's not treated like a 3-year world champion should be treated. That's my point. If she's this 3-year dominant world champion in your other company, why, when she comes to AEW, is she just lose half of her matches? She should be treated just as special when she comes to AEW, or you run the risk of what exactly is happening. Nobody cares about her. Because when she's in AEW, they just see her as another person on the roster. An upper mid-carder at best, and I think that's stretching it. I think that is stretching it. Okay? So that's the problem with Athena. For whatever reason, Tony Khan doesn't want to bring her to AEW and give her a push. Don't get mad at me because I'm pointing it out. Ask Tony Khan why he won't bring her there and give her a push. Ask Tony Khan why he books her in a cold pay-per-view match against Persephone, who got 2 wins on TV right under the gun at the last second in the final 2 shows preceding the pay-per-view. One of them was a squash over Valentina Rossi. I didn't do that. Tony Khan did that. Tony Khan put her in a cold pay-per-view match and then had the audacity to put it in the main event spot. But here's the thing about that. What else would have main evented this show? Where you're going to put the cold fucking survival of the fittest world title match? That match it was cold too with Bandito. So what difference does it make? They didn't build up anything on this show properly. The men's world title match was just 6 guys in a fucking match. 2 of which were doing double duty to show how on the ball we were booking this thing. 2 of which worked earlier on the show. We just threw them in this match too because, I don't know. Let's just throw Sammy and the Beast Mortos in it. Fuck it. What does it matter? So, I don't know. I didn't like the show. I thought, we covered the main event. I thought the survival of the fittest was just boring. All right, there were some nice spots, I guess. I don't know. Why would I care about that match? We all know Bandito's winning. That's number one. And it's just a collection of guys. I mean, what the fuck? Pick a challenger, build them up on fucking AEW Dynamite and Collision, not the dopey ROH show that nobody's watching. Okay? Ignore the people who say that you shouldn't do ROH stuff on AEW because those people know nothing. Clueless. You're trying to sell a show. Pick a challenger, give them a 1.5 push to the pay-per-view, and then have Bandito in a one-on-one match against a strong challenger. Have him beat him in a tag. Have him whatever the fuck you're going to do. Jump him in the back. But build a fucking challenger. Don't just throw him in there with 5 random guys. Because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to put the match on, and I'm going to just watch it with a blank fucking stare because how could I possibly care about it?
Oh, and that's what everybody in the crowd did too, by the way. They didn't give a shit. They liked Bandito. Everybody in this crowd liked Bandito, but they didn't give a fuck about any of these other guys, and they had no interest in this match because why would you? Who could you possibly care about in this match? You're going to get invested in Blake Christian, fighting as valiantly through this thing. It was very... Yeah, very lazily put together.
Just build a contender.
Right.
Just build a fucking contender.
Pick a guy. Pick Blake Christian because he had a great story throughout this entire match.
Undefeated. He was undefeated for a while in ROH. Absolutely. You just should have built up Blake Christian. You would have been better off.
I mean, the 2 guys in this match did double duty. I mean, 2 guys in this match were just like guys that were like, oh shit, well, they're in a tag match. All right, let's bring them in. It's just silly.
And if you knew you're going with Persephone, give her longer than a 1-week build. Give her longer than a 1-week build. And then maybe when she comes out, she gets some kind of reaction other than the nothing reaction. She got nothing.
How many of these people watch Ring of Honor every week, though, Joe?
Oh, well, you were gone tending to your child.
Yes.
But my other point was just build these matches on Dynamite.
Well, you can't do that because the losers and the haters will get mad about it. But yeah,
I'm trying to sell a pay-per-view. I don't care what they think.
Exactly. I don't care what Raj Geary and fucking Wade Keller give a shit about. We're talking about Ring of Honor, right? And that's the thing too. It's out of sight, out of mind for this entire company. You would have no earthly idea if you didn't listen to a show like us or follow stuff like that. You'd have no idea Final Battle was happening because if you just watch AEW television, they don't. I mean, Mercedes kind of, sort of told a story about it, but yeah, for the most part, you have no idea this thing's happening ever. And I wouldn't do that. That's stupid. That's dumb. I want to sell pay-per-views. I want to sell these subscriptions, but alas.
Yeah. All right, let's circle back to the top, I guess. So, Deonna Purrazzo over Billy Starks. This fucking tournament comes to a merciful end.
Finally, once and for all, it's over.
Look, I think this is a good style for Billy Starks. I've said it before. I got hiccups. I said it before, but I think that the pure style hides a lot of Billy Starks' weaknesses as a worker. So I think these are the good kinds of matches for her to be in. Now, what it also does is it eliminates her best spot, which is that dive to the floor. But much like Cavanario, you don't want to do that every match anyway. right? So it's like, it's okay. It keeps her from relying on the floor dive, and it hides a lot of her weaknesses because a lot of it is so mat-based. A lot of Billie Stark's issues as a worker is coming off the ropes or complicated sequences because she's not a good athlete. She's a thinker, not a doer. She's awkward. And I think working this style of match hides a lot of that. So I think some of the pure matches she has been in have been some of the better worked matches that she's been in. And I think Deonna Purrazzo is the right choice as champion. I think that they tried her in AEW, and it was very obvious she was nervous for whatever reason on Dynamite. Do you remember those awkward promos?
God, do I remember those? Yeah, it's bad.
So
and they tried to make her a babyface too, and that was kind of clunky and weird, and it just it was all bad.
So she's in a less pressurized environment in ROH, and this is a good spot for her, I think, until you eventually bring her back to AEW at some point. And obviously, this is the style of match that she thrives in. And I thought this match was pretty good.
Yeah,
so I thought
liked
the
it.
show was off to a good start.
Yeah, I kind of went out. I was like, I don't know about this match and this tournament, but yeah, I thought it was a solid match, and I was invested in it. And I really, when the finish came, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a really, I kind of thought Billie Starkz might be the inaugural champion, so I thought it was cool to have Purrazzo be the first champion. And yeah, I thought it was a really good match. And I was like, all right, here we go, ROH final battle. Let's get into it.
This is really overthinking, and it's ROH, and I know it doesn't really matter, but they really don't want to get Billie Starkz over, do they? I mean, when does she win a big match? I don't even like her, and I don't want her pushed, but I'm just looking at this from a business and booking standpoint. Why does she always lose the big match? I know she's like still 19 or whatever, and you got plenty of time. I get it.
She's 22. 21. Yeah, she's 22. It's been a while now.
Yeah, but I mean, she's got 20 years in front of her. But the point here is, it's like, it feels like they're setting her up for a push that never comes.
Yeah.
It's very
we just talked about Final Battle 2023. That's when they should have had her beat Athena, and we're now 2 years past that.
It would have served both of them well if she would have won that match. It was a big mistake.
And she's still losing big matches now. And the other problem, too, is she's got the exact same gimmick that she's had since 2020. She's 5 years now. She has purple hair. She sticks her tongue out. I have Blink-182 rip-off music. Sometimes it's Blink-182 when I'm on the indies. It's like, what do we do? Can we try maybe something a little different with her? But, whatever.
It almost feels like ROH is in an eternal holding pattern until this guy gets a TV deal that he likes.
Yeah.
It's almost what it feels like. Lee Moriarty, Nigel McGuinness, Iron Man match, 30 minutes. One of the problems here with this 30-minute Iron Man match was I kept forgetting it wasn't pure rules, and so did the commentators.
I was going to say, so did Caprice Coleman.
And Moxley. He's like, why do you waste a rope break? He could have got out of that. And then he caught himself and was like, oh, wait, hold on a second. You get unlimited rope breaks. This is Iron Man, not a pure match. But I was thinking the same thing. It's like, I fucked up my voice doing the Mox voice. Oh, man. I'm in rough shape here.
We'll just have to skip TNA. Darn. No, I watched it. No, fuck that. I watched it. We got to talk about it. So,
doing these back to back was very confusing from that standpoint, and it was confusing the announcers.
Yeah. It was. Did you put over the fact that Mox just stayed and did commentary yet, or no?
No.
I love that.
I was going to ask you what you thought of it.
I thought he was great. I thought he was really good on commentary so he comes out with the Death Riders for their match to end the 0 hour, and then I don't know. I assume that everybody knew, but they presented it as if he just showed up and was like, hey, I'm going to do commentary. You guys mind? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. That's fine. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to say, Caprice is like, I'm not going to tell him no. You're going to tell him no over again? He's like, no. And then Mox just kind of did commentary, and he did a commentary in a really cool way. He was just like, he did a commentary in the I love this shit way, where he's just like, I want to come and watch the wrestling with you guys. Can I watch the wrestling with you guys? Like, an uncle that just comes over and he's like, wrestling, hey, what's up? And then he had some good insights. And I thought, man, Mox is a really good commentator. Like, why do I have to listen to there's so many bad commentators in AEW, and then you get Bryan Danielson on, and he's like instantly the best color commentator they have. And then I had Moxley here, and I was like, let's just have Moxley and Danielson, let's have Ian, Moxley, and Danielson do commentary forever. I like Caprice too, but like I dislike Excalibur a lot. I think Nigel largely stinks. I thought Taz has been really bad for a while. I don't think Tony Schiavone's any good. Like, there's so many guys that are not very good. And I'm like, why? Danielson has been a revelation, and Mox I thought was a revelation here too. I thought he was great on commentary.
Yeah, he had a lot of good insights, and It was a lot of fun. Now, the reason
it's not vapid empty takes either, too, because like a lot of times you get these guys and they're, like especially Tony Schiavone at this point has nothing interesting to say ever. Excalibur is just a motor mouth that has nothing interesting to say. Moxley's giving you insights as to why a move would hurt a certain way.
Yes.
Why a guy's working a certain hold, or why, that's a really smart idea to work on that because that's going to do this and it's going to do that. Like little stuff like that. A little, and really good at putting the wrestlers over too, even though he's on the heel team. And Danielson is really good about this too, just really putting people over. I might not see eye to eye with this person, but they're no doubt a great competitor, and this is why they do this, and they're not. I don't agree with everything they say, but like little stuff like that, I think is a really, really smart way to do commentary. Callis is another guy too. When he comes on to commentary, I'm like, oh my God, he's so much better than all these other guys. Like, why is Callis not on commentary all the time? So, that's just kind of my thought with Mox. I thought he was really good.
Yeah. So I agree with all that. The match itself was excellent. This was my favorite match of the night. I didn't love blowing through all the falls in the final minute.
I loved 29 minutes of this match, and I did not love the final minute. But
yeah, that was my thought too. That's kind of a derivative thing to blow through all the falls in the final minute. I liked Nigel tapping out on purpose early in the match to avoid additional damage.
Great. I love that shit.
I love that spot. They did a lot of cool stuff like that. Every time Nigel gets in there in this little part-time run of his, I think he's gotten better and better. He really looks so good in the ring, and he knows his role is to go in there and lose to people, and that's what he does. And I don't love Lee Moriarty. I find him a little dry, but I really enjoyed this match, and it was my favorite match on the show. Any other thoughts on the 30-minute Iron Man match?
No, just my big picture thought was just 29 of the minutes I thought were perfect, and I just didn't like the final minute. I didn't like throwing through the spots. I didn't mind the idea that they had for it, but it was just like, if you're going to do that idea, I think I need a couple more finishes throughout the match. Like it was like, what was it, 3-0 or whatever?
3-1.
3-1 maybe, and then it's like, we get to 3-3 within like the last minute. I don't love that. If you're going to do that, like establish that pinfalls are happening quickly. But yeah, having them
Nigel took a lead, and then Moriarty got one.
Yeah. It was just like it was too frenetic at the end, and it just came across
too frenetic.
It came across kind of dorky because it's one of those things where I'm like,
the other falls.
Exactly. Why every other fall took 15 minutes, and it took a very smartly worked. Very Lee Moriarty had to be perfect and smart, and understand how. And Nigel had to tap out because he knew that I got it. And then it's like, and then we cheapen it by having like 3 quick little pinfalls in the final minute. Like that's my only takeaway. But otherwise, all in all, I thought it was a very, very, very good match. And Nigel rocks. He still absolutely rocks.
So I lost my house last week, and I lost my second mortgage this week as Red Velvet defeats Mercedes Moné again. So here's the thing. And it's a very good match, but I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is Red Velvet beating Mercedes twice now. Now look, did she knock her out and put her foot on her chest and in the center of the ring? And no. These were both, she caught her. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, so Mercedes put her over twice, and it's clear she likes her and was okay with her beating her twice and all of that. But they were also very careful in that Red Velvet, it's not like she had dominated Mercedes twice. She just outwitted her and caught her. And that's kind of the story that they're telling here. But this puts Mercedes clearly in Red Velvet's rearview mirror. They're not going to go back to this, I don't think. In fact, they set up a Layla Gray Mercedes match, which is happening. That match is happening on Collision, right?
I thought it already happened. I think it happened on that Collision. No. I think it already happened.
Yeah, they already did that. They did that match on the last week's Collision.
Last week's Collision.
Right.
Last week's Collision. Yeah. Also, did Velvet? I thought Velvet lost to Mercedes the first time.
She just beat her twice.
I don't know if it was twice. I think she just beat her this time.
Did I get that wrong?
I think so. I think
she beat her twice. She beat her. Hold on.
I don't think so.
There's only one match?
They had the match on Collision.
Why did I think she beat her twice?
I don't know. They had the Collision match for the interim.
No,
to unify the interim, and that was that, and then Mercedes.
I was thinking she beat her and then defended it as well.
No, beat her, and then this was the defense.
She just beat her once.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I thinking? All right, well then all my notes are a waste of time. You need to talk about this match.
That was your whole take?
My whole thing was her beating her twice, and
yeah.
But she only beat her once. I don't know why I thought she beat her twice.
Only once. And the Layla Gray match did already happen on Collision because she was like, well, if you're not doing anything, and then Mercedes like, I want to get out of Columbus, and Layla was like, no, too bad, you got to stay in Columbus and face
no,
me.
it was no. I had a whole thing. No. You are not blowing through that segment. So Layla Gray walks up to Mercedes, who's all sad in the fucking stairwell or whatever.
Invisible camera, by the way. There was no need for the camera to be there. It was just there.
And she's like, oh, don't feel bad. You're still like the baddest bitch or whatever. And Mercedes is like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Get out of my face. And then
I don't even know you.
And then there was this line, because I think they know that no one knows who the fuck this is. She goes, what do you mean? I am the baddie, Layla Gray.
This is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's I don't know if this is a thing like across, but the sports radio show I listen to, Dan Bernstein, who I listen to on 670 The Score, he got fired because he threatened to beat somebody up or whatever. Somebody on Twitter made fun of his fish and he said, I'm going to fucking kill your kids or something like that. It happens, whatever. We all do.
I have your address.
Yeah.
How about I
have your address. I'll come and find your kids or whatever. Not great. It based off of fish. I would probably just let the fish comment go or whatever. But anyway, the guy said that he killed a fish, and Dan Bernstein's like, I didn't kill the fish, and this is what started everything. So hey, social media is very toxic, and you should get off it if it's causing you to do toxic things, which it did. He got fired. So he has a podcast now, but one of the things they used to always do is they would call this a rack bowing, is what this is. Because if you remember, there was a Geico commercial many moons ago where Brian Arakpo from the Kansas City Chiefs was on it.
Yes.
And he appeared, and they smartly knew no one's going to know who the fuck Brian Arakpo is.
Yep.
So the caveman, it's during the caveman Geico commercials, goes, oh my God, it's all pro linebacker Brian Arakpo.
Yeah, he said the line was, the Arakpo comes up to him and says whatever, and then the caveman goes, you are Brian Arakpo, two-time Pro Bowl defensive end for the Washington Redskins. Awful. Because they knew nobody knew who he was.
Right. So that's Arakpoing. So then they talk about how that happens in commercials a lot, and how if you have to Arakpo a guy, maybe that's not the right guy to have for your commercial, or maybe that's not the right person to push.
Right.
If people are listening and they have no earthly idea who this is. Now, unfortunately, they've gotten too crazy with this, because recently, like Jersey Mike's did this with Danny DeVito. And it's like everybody knows who fucking Danny DeVito is, and they had a long conversation about this recently, because they're using Eli Manning in these Jersey Mike's commercials.
Yes.
The idea is that Eli Manning's taking over for Danny DeVito, and Eli Manning goes, "Don't worry, Danny DeVito, I'm not taking your job." And I'm like, "It's Danny DeVito! Like everybody knows who fucking Danny DeVito is. Like, what are you doing? Like, what the Jersey Mike's ad execs like? Don't hire Danny DeVito if you have to say, oh, it's okay, Danny DeVito, I'm Eli Manning, I'm not taking your job." I'm like, why are you paying these people if you have to then spend half the commercial identifying who the people are? Don't do that. Like, just
so
everybody knows who Danny DeVito is.
Listen, everyone go to Reddit. Rich Craich on the Flagship. Tony Khan should fire Layla Gray. That's what you're saying.
I mean,
so
I would, if you're going to tell a story, I don't think you have to do well
they did
Mercedes, if you don't know who I am, I'm the baddie in charge or whatever the fuck.
Mercedes legit said, who are you? She said, I am the baddie, Layla Gray.
Right.
Like she gave her nickname and her name.
Right. It's not an effective person then. It's not an effective star on your roster if you have to do that.
I didn't know who it was at the start of the scene. So I will say that it was effective.
It was effective to know that it was the baddie in charge or whatever.
I'm like, oh, it's the baddie, Layla Gray. All right, now I know who it is. And then I thought to myself, oh no, I got to watch Layla Gray wrestle probably soon.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate byproduct. Yeah, Christopher Daniels and his Coles shirts coming out.
Outfit. Yeah. All right, so Guevara and Beast Mortos win the vacant tag team titles over Priest and Billington. So this whole match built to a hot tag to Tommy Billington, which got no pop. Now, nothing all night basically got a reaction on this show, but this got a noticeable no pop. But this is what happens when you put a tag team in a match like this for vacant titles when the fans have never seen them win a match. They have never won a match in AEW. They have never won a match in ROH. We talked about it last week. But for some reason, they're in a tag team title match. Tony Khan used to have standards. Do you remember when Tony Khan had standards? Remember when they had rankings? Remember when?
Of course, booking had to matter. Every match had to matter.
Booking had to matter, and pushes mattered, and people winning and losing mattered. Well, this is a byproduct of that. It's the theme of Final Battle to me. When you no longer have standards and you no longer build anything and nothing matters and you're just booking your show like it's fucking an Impact show from 2008 or any old WWE show over history, and you're just throwing people in matches just because, fans do not react. Most of these fans probably didn't know who Priest and Billington were, and the fans who do follow the product have never seen them win a match. So why would they react to them? They see them as jobbers. And what's worse is you have them in a title match. They don't care. Why do I? Why do I bother, Rich Critch?
Right. If you don't care, why we care? You care, we care. That's been one of my themes on Tour of the Territories as I've watched it, because obviously in those days they cared very much because they needed to get you to the fucking building and buy tickets. But I bring that up a lot of time. If they care, you care. If we care, they care. If they care, we care. It works all around. It's a symbiotic relationship, but it takes the promoters caring. The promoters have to care first and foremost, and then we will care. If they don't care, there is no reason for us to care. If they think, whatever, they're just a jobber tag team, just throw them out there, who cares? Then no one's going to care. And that, unfortunately, I was really looking forward to this match, but the crowd they didn't give a fuck about Billington. They didn't give a fuck about Priest. They only really cared about Mortos because Mortos went, and that was easy for them to go, with them. And then Sammy Guevara is a hot take here, but Sammy Guevara is really good at being a douchebag. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the role he was born to play, Joe. We all know that. But
here's the other thing we all know. We know that this is just buying time until Tony tries him as a babyface in AEW.
Yeah, the seventh time that, hey, what if annoying douchebag Sammy Guevara wasn't an annoying douchebag? No, just push him as the way it's supposed to be. We all know.
He's not a pillar.
No.
And he's not a face.
Nope.
This is what he is. He's a mid-card heel.
Yep.
Okay,
and he's very good at it, and very good at it because he got this crowd booing the hell out of it. The problem was he couldn't get the crowd to care about Billington and care about Priest,
even with all that heat.
Yeah, because the booking didn't make you care about Billington or care about Priest. Yeah,
what they should have done is after they lost their little mini feud to FTR, they should have remained on AEW TV and won some matches.
Beat the Outrunners. Beat the premier athletes. Beat the, maybe not the Outrunners. That's face versus
top flights, whoever. I don't care.
The premier athletes. They should be able to beat the premier athletes a bunch of times, on
frat house, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, they should have followed that up with them winning some matches on TV to say, all right, they're not ready to beat FTR, but they will be soon because, look, they're beating everybody else. And FTR in the back, it should, in the back of your mind, you should be thinking, one day they're going to beat FTR. Instead, they lost that mini feud to FTR and disappeared.
Yeah,
and we're working 6-mans in ROH sporadically. They haven't even had a tag match until this one. I mean, this is why I said last week, let someone book this thing that's going to have time to book it and put some effort into it. ROH is the exhibit A of Tony Khan has too many jobs. The one too many jobs is not the AEW booker job. It's the ROH booker job. That's the job. That's the one too many jobs for him. And it was very clear watching this show.
Yeah. And I think, and you can chart, a lot of AEW's ills booking wise to when he took over ROH. I just think it takes I'm not saying AEW would be good if he wasn't booking ROH. I just think it's the two, you wrapped it up perfectly. It's the one too many job. It's like,
this is the one.
I think he could probably just lose this one and be perfectly fine.
Well, he's not putting any effort into it.
Right.
There's no effort put into this. I'm telling you right now, he didn't know what these title matches were going to be. And that's why they rushed those 2 quick Persephone matches to get I mean, there's no planning. There's no long-term thought, nothing. Eddie Kingston versus Josh Woods. This was added late. I don't know why. It happened, and it was a match. Anything to add on Eddie Kingston versus Josh Woods? Good, because we will move on to the ROH 6-man tag team title match with Shane Taylor Promotions defeating Sky Flight and retaining the ROH 6-man titles. My only notes for this match is, okay, this show is starting to drag. This hour, after Red Velvet versus Mercedes And before the survival of the fittest, this hour or so of this show was it just felt like everything was dragging. And I was like, all right, this show's too long. I don't know how long this show actually was. I think it was only 3 hours, the actual show part of the show. But this hour in between, it was just everything was dragging. And this match there's guys flying around doing some good things, but
I like this match maybe a little bit better than you did, but I ultimately agree with the overall point, though.
AEW national title, first defense outside of AEW, Ricochet versus Dalton Castle. This did nothing for me. A lot of shtick. A sad collection of boys. What a pathetic collection of boys this was.
My notes were like, can we get better? I mean, the one, we got like a fat boy, we got a pale boy. I'm like,
here's my bigger problem, though. They were all clapping out of sync. We can't even get the clapping into sync for the for this pathetic collection of boys.
Rehire the Tate twins. Well, maybe don't rehire the Tate twins, but maybe don't do that.
So I mean, I don't know. It was and then Dalton Castle loses because he's over concerned with the boys, right? Like that was kind of the finish. So I don't know. It did nothing for me.
Too much stick, like you said. It just. It wasn't. They weren't treating this like a serious match. Dalton Castle wasn't treating it like a serious match. Ricochet wasn't treating it like a serious match. So it's like, all right, well, this title's off to a roaring start. So great.
Yeah, and we talked about the other two matches. So yeah, I didn't really like the show. I didn't like it. It was the first ROH pay-per-view that I haven't really liked. And
normally we come away from these kind of having like an existential thought about like how Ring of Honor should be, we should maybe pay more attention to it, or it should just be booked a little bit better. But this existential thought that I have here is just like, if this thing isn't going to be booked better, then really we should just get rid of this thing. It's a waste of everyone's time, is kind of how I ended up.
Yeah, I came away thinking I don't need this anymore in my life. That's what I can. And normally we come away thinking, oh, that was really good. I'm never going to watch the TV, but I'll be back for the next pay-per-view, and I'll probably enjoy that one too. That's not how I'm thinking this time around. This time I'm thinking, I don't know. Don't need it. Now, if they get a TV deal, I feel like he'll put more effort into it. He'll have to. And then at that point, I can get maybe revved up for it. I was really excited when he bought it. But I don't know. It's just my overall final thought on this for Final Battle is I came away thinking this is such a dead brand that no one cares about. And that includes The Office. I don't think The Office gives a shit about ROH, and clearly the fans don't give a shit about ROH. So that's that. All right, what do we got left on this show? We've got TNA, right? So we'll start here before we get into Final Resolution, and that's how we'll wrap this thing up. There were some quotes by Carlos Silva, and I think they give some insight as to what this potential television deal was.
Oh, yeah.
He did confirm that it was not a time buy. He was asked directly whether it was a time buy, and his quote was, and I quote, "What I can say is that it's definitely not a time buy. It's a partnership that has upside as we build TNA into a bigger property. AMC is very happy and interested in that upside. And for TNA, there's a lot of upside," what's the key word here, "in the deal as well. And financially, it really helps us to get where we need to be in 2026 and beyond. Very happy with the deal, yes." He used the word upside 4 times in that quote.
Yes. I underlined and bolded upside as well. It's a deal with a lot of upside.
So hold that thought.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to give a dollar figure when pressed. And his next quote was, "I think as part of the partnership, once we really launch and come together and the deal really sort of takes off, then I think we'll be able to talk a little bit more about it. But I think for right now, being a new partner, we've decided that we really want to just launch the partnership the right way first and grow it." So that all those quotes are from Helwani, right? So
that's all from the Era Helwani show, yes.
Okay, and then he went on and he spoke to the takedown. Was it with Alba? Probably with Alba, since he's been on top of this story from the jump. But basically just saying that AMC was involved from the start. I don't know if I'm going to read these through on the show itself, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, those second quotes weren't very much. Just basically the AMC was involved from the beginning. There was a lot of chatter about other networks, but Alba, you mentioning it was what made people say, "Hey, what about AMC? What about AMC? What about AMC?" But he says they were in the mix from the beginning. There were a number of other networks in the mix, but AMC was with us the whole way, and they want to start getting the live sports entertainment category, and this is what helps them do that. So,
all right. So going back to those first quotes, I think it's very clear that this is an ad split.
Yes.
That's my takeaway.
And my take is that it's either a low dollar figure with the idea of if you guys hit certain thresholds, it'll go up, or it's an ad split. One of those two.
The fact he kept talking about the upside of the deal, right, to me read like an ad split. I am coming off most people thought they'd get somewhere between 5 to 10 million a year. I don't think they're even getting that. I think they're getting nothing. I think they're getting an ad split. And keep in mind, that's how AEW started. AEW's first deal with WBD was an ad split. And then they greatly overperformed. The expectations were 400,000 viewers. They came out of the box with like 1.4 million. So it only took a couple of months. WBD ripped up that deal and gave them a money-paying deal, the details of which I don't remember. Okay? Then they got another deal after that when they added Rampage, and they're on like their fourth deal with WBD at this point. Now they have it's a $555 million deal, $500 million. So there's no shame in starting off with an ad split. And the more I think about this and the more I look at these Silva quotes, the more the ad split makes sense, right? They're unproven. Because no matter what they did on Spike a generation ago, that doesn't mean anything anymore. They've essentially been a dead brand for 15 years. So from that standpoint, they're unproven. Nobody cares about the perpetual 1.2s they were doing in 2005 or whatever it was. Or maybe it was a little later, but you get the idea. So yeah, if Tony Khan had to prove himself with an ad split, it makes sense that TNA would have to do the same. So my official prediction has shifted from 5 to 10 million a year, multi-year deal, to ad split. Where do you stand?
I definitely. Yeah, I think it's either a very low money deal, but the fact that he was very coy about years and very coy about money, not that I thought he was going to go out there and say, yeah, it's a 5-year deal for $80 million or whatever. Like, I didn't think he was going to do that, but the words that he used and the way that he said it, and like you said, the one part that got me was not necessarily the upside part, but the end where he says, I think as a part of the partnership, once we really launch and come together and the deal really sort of takes off, then I think we'll be able to talk a little bit more about it. But I think for right now, being a new partner, we've decided that we really just want to launch the partnership the right way first and grow it. That's all to me. That's phrasing of we kind of have to prove ourselves to these guys. And then if it goes well, then we'll talk moving forward. And from AMC's standpoint, you can see what they're thinking is, look, we're a network that, cable's dying on the vine. We all know it. We're a network that when you look at traditionally what we do every single week is pretty low. So if there is a property that's going to come onto our network and promise or say, hey, look, we can probably, if you look at other wrestling companies and what they're doing, we can probably get you somewhere between 300 to 500,000 people to watch your show every single week. Now, I don't know if they're going to hit that threshold, but I'm sure or even if they're going to promise 200,000. We're going to do 52 weeks out of the year. We're going to get you somewhere between 200 and 500,000 people every single week, and many more in the 18 to 49 demo than you're probably doing in your normal weekly time slot. And all you have to do is give us half day ads. If you're AMC, why would you not take that deal? If you're AMC,
listen,
you're not like, well, shit, we got to take X off the air. Oh no, we can't show a rerun of The Walking Dead in this time slot. All right, fine, yeah, but here's the thing: just like with AEW, there's nothing stopping from AMC from saying, you know what, we're just going to show reruns of The Walking Dead instead. We made more on ads money there. We don't have to split it with you, and it fits with our network just fine. And that's what AEW began with. AEW began with at the beginning of 2020. WBD could have looked and said, you know what, nah, we're good. Thank you though. This is fine. We tried it out. We're going to go back to showing. We're just going to show a second episode of Big Bang Theory instead of you guys. So thanks anyway, but we're good. But they over delivered. And in January of 2020, they said, all right, here you go. Here's new money. Here's new paper. Keep this thing going. And yeah, there's a benefit for AMC to have 52 weeks out of the year. You throw this tangentially live sports property on your network, and all it costs you is half of the ad dollars that you were going to make on the show anyway. That's not a bad deal. And there's probably tons of outs. For an ad split, most likely there's a ton of outs and a ton of parameters and a ton of, okay, if you're not hitting this mark or we're not getting this amount of money from the ads, then we could cut bait here, and here, whatever that might be. A year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever it might be. There's probably a ton of outs in this thing too. But that's what this is. This is not a substantial money deal. I don't think so. I think these quotes definitely lead me in the same direction that they lead you, that it's an ad split.
Yeah, and WWE is going to work very hard to help this show be a success. There's no doubt about that, for all the reasons we've talked about a million times. All right, so TNA Final Resolution. I forced Rich to watch it, and man, is he glad, because this was a great show. I mean, this was top to bottom, a fine pay-per-view on the Total Nonstop Action Wrestling.
You want my hot take?
Service. I want your hot take.
I thought it was fine.
That's a hot take?
Yeah, I guess.
That's a hot take?
I think people thought I was going to bury it and say it sucked. It didn't suck. It was fine.
Yeah. Listen. Well, let's go through. I don't want to... it was a TNA show. It was a...
For better or for worse, it was a TNA show, yeah.
Mid-tier TNA show. Do you know what's funny about this show? Is on Cage Match, there's a bunch of 8s and 9s for the show total. No 7s, and then a bunch of 6 and 5s. So it's like either like the TNA, what did we used to call them?
Oh God, because they were all from the Asylum, right?
Yeah, no.
But what did we call them?
Shit, because we have the TNA sickos and we have the Freakazoids.
The Freakazoids,
yeah. From Ariel. But we used to call the TNA fans something, and I can't remember what it was.
I thought it was related to the Asylum, but I can't.
I remember. The Lunatic Fringe.
The Lunatic Fringe, yes.
Yes. We haven't used that phrase in a while.
It's been a very long time, because that group of TNA fans, they kind of, most of them are kind of gone now, I would say. There's still a couple. Yeah. There's still a couple hanging out. But like the Big Dog and Chris Regal and those types, they're gone. They're long gone.
Well, there's still a bunch that come for me, believe it or not.
No shit, really?
Yeah, we'll talk later. There's one that comes from
me.
I
know that. Yeah.
Nobody cares, but he comes for me all the time. So this show, we kick off with Mike Santana versus Charlie Dempsey, 25-67 in the El Paso County Coliseum. Good number for TNA for whatever this is. Pay-per-view, fucking streaming special. I think it was a streaming special. So Mike Santana says, hey, look, I came here to fight, and I'm not waiting all night, so my match is going on first.
I like it. Good energy. A lot of good energy to start. He's got a great theme song, a lot of energy coming out, and he says, I'm not waiting around. Let's go. I'm fighting right now. And the crowd's like, yeah, let's go. I thought it was great. I thought his introduction was great.
Charlie Dempsey comes out, and they proceed to have a very good match. And Santana wins, as well he should. And I don't have much else to add. It was just a really good, well-worked match with good energy, and the crowd was into it, and the show was off to a good start.
When it was over, I was just like, this is the guy that you taking the title away from. To put it on, okay, all right, whatever, fine.
Well, sure. See, it's all 4D chess, because they knew they were getting a TV deal, and now they're going to set up another big moment for Mike Santana for the TV. That's the theory.
Okay.
That's the theory. I think that's really fucking stupid.
Sure, but okay.
I think there's other ways to set up big moments for your TV. And let's be honest, the big moments for their TV are all going to be WWE related.
Correct.
Not Mike Santana related.
Right.
Although I haven't seen the spoilers for the taping. Not because I'm trying to remain unspoiled, but mostly because I don't care. So I haven't seen the spoilers for the TV. Knockouts tag team titles, the inspiration. We talked about this a little bit versus Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford.
With your girl, Dana. I love this. So Dana Brooke comes down and they tell the whole story of her having to relinquish the Knockouts title.
Well, they don't tell the whole story. Nobody knows the whole story.
Nobody knows the whole story. Yeah, some of the story. We don't know what happened to her.
We just know she can't wrestle anymore.
Yes. So she puts the headset on and they, it's Face Fuck Phillips and the Drama King. And they're like, welcome, what's her fucking Ash Bailey? Welcome, Ash, to the commentary table. And she goes, yeah, I can't wrestle anymore, so I'm going to try out commentary. And guess what? I think she might be a better wrestler than a commentator, and she's not a very good wrestler. Yeah. She was horrible.
She wasn't very good.
She had nothing to say and didn't know how to say it. Just bad. She's like, these two teams are filled with competitors that are going to go out there and try their hardest, and I just want to see who wins the match and wins the Knockouts championship. It's just like, she's so bad. It's like, all right, well, you tried.
She gave away the Elegance crew running out, the Elegance brand running out too, because she kept saying, I didn't tell them that I would be doing commentary. They don't know that I'm out here. It's like she was tipping off.
I know.
Coming out.
She said it 1,000 times. And they said, well, are they here? Are they in the building? She goes, I'm not even sure if they're in the building. I don't know. But all I know is I didn't tell them to come out at any point during this match. And it's like, okay, all right. Then they came out and she goes, guys, just so you know, I didn't tell them. Okay, we got it.
She said it again.
We got it.
Yeah.
We heard you. But
the point
hey,
where I was waiting for her to take off the headset and join in and put the boots to them, because it almost felt like a swerve because she mentioned it so much.
Right. But hey, horrible match. The inspiration, fucking terrible.
They're not. And this is actually not bad by their standards, honestly. I've seen them have much worse than this.
Sure.
So we have a pre-tape in the back with Frankie Kazarian, and I'm watching this, and he's cutting this heel promo and everything, and I'm just thinking to myself, a serious promotion would not have Frankie Kazarian as their world champion.
No.
Can we be honest about this? A serious promotion cannot have Frankie Kazarian in 2025 or even 2005, when he was an active wrestler on the WWE roster, belted up as their world champion. You just can't have it. And that's the problem with TNA, and why I'm not bullish on this TV deal. Because people are going to turn this fucking show on, and they're going to be greeted with Frankie Kazarian, world champion, amongst all this other slop. You can't be a serious wrestling promotion and have that guy as your world champion.
You're gonna have Frankie Kazarian and the also rans of NXT, like the people that are not even good enough for NXT, invading TNA, while Fandango, Eddie Edwards, and Moose fight them. Like, what are we doing?
This. People are going to be greeted by Frankie Kazarian as a world champion, NXT fifth stringers like Lexus King.
Lexus King in the high rise.
Being part of the main event angle and a JDC retirement tour. This is what people are going to be greeted by.
Right.
This is what we were saying last week. Here's the problem with TNA. The show fucking stinks.
It's a bad show.
It's a simple problem. It never changes. And that's the problem they're faced with, that the show just isn't good. And I look at this, look, it's not a great roster, but they've had worse rosters before. I feel like you can get a good show out of this roster. I do. They are not getting a good show out of this roster. And this pay-per-view is like as good as it gets for them. And this is like a 4 out of 10. So Mance Warner is in a street fight with Matt Cardona. And listen, yeah, it was fine it was a gentleman's 3 of plunder matches. How's that description?
That's fair.
A gentleman's 3 of plunder matches.
You've seen every single spot that they did. You've seen 1,000 times in your life.
Yes. Except I don't know if I've ever seen Matt Cardona's own action figures used in place of thumbtacks.
True.
Outside of that,
his superstars. I think they're called superstars, or they're
big rubber guys.
Yeah, they're called like super major. They're called the major stars. Sorry, the major stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cardona wins, by the way,
to the delight of the crowd. Oh, lots of cosplaying on the show too. We should note that Mance Warner came out in the Nightmare Before Christmas get up, and then Steph DeLander was dressed up as one of the Who's from the Grinch. I don't know.
Is that
why.
what she was?
Yes, I think that's what she was trying to go for.
I thought she was just trying to be like a slutty, like Little Red Riding Hood or something.
Yeah, no, I think the vibe was supposed to be the Grinch, the Who's.
Oh, right. Well,
because Facefuck Phillips pointed it out a couple times. Because I didn't know either. I thought she was going for like slutty, like
Little Red Riding
yeah, like slutty Halloween outfit, and I was like, you guys are a little off, but whatever.
Mrs. Claus or something
right,
like
right. But no, I think it was slutty slutty Cindy Lou Who or whatever the fuck.
Mrs. Claus for the streets or something like that.
Yeah,
like I thought something like in that direction.
No.
Well, it wasn't hard to look at. Yeah, it's fine.
And we should note that Mike Santana, among many other people on the show, because it was in El Paso, did several Eddie Guerrero tributes. Several.
Oh, God.
Eddie Guerrero. Because it's a wrestling show in 2025, or a wrestling show in general, we have to do Eddie Guerrero spots, and several throughout this night. Santana did the frog splash and got Eddie chants, and then a couple other people throughout the night did stuff too. So
next up was the JDC emotional pre-tape promo.
Mm-hmm.
He's been through so much, right?
Has he?
And
while this is going on, I feel like I'm being gaslit. Like, what did he go through? What career did he have? Like, the guy was...
listen, you don't watch the product, so you don't understand.
You're right, Bully.
Yeah,
is he available? Is he available to yell at me again about this?
No, he's gone.
Oh, right.
But he made the point for you before. I mean, you got to pay attention. And Bully is totally unbiased. There's nothing to do with the fact that his best friend in the world books the company. That has nothing to do with it.
Or the company he's tangentially employed with is propping them up. No, nothing.
Right. Or the fact that he's mad because Tony Khan has never given him a payday. None of those things have anything to do with his takes. None of them. So he wants to face Eddie Edwards at Genesis. And, the one thing that I would always think about when I think about the career of JDC, and as I reflect on the final countdown before we see Johnny Curtis for the last time, is that, man, I really hope he mixes it up one more time with Eddie Edwards. So I think they nailed this one.
They got it. Yeah.
You got to hand it to them.
You do. You absolutely.
You got to.
I mean, the final. We talked about the final chapter of Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid. This is another one too. A finality there of finally once and for all, it's all done. Eddie Edwards and Dirty Dango. One more time. I mean, it's gonna be something to witness for sure. Genesis, you said, right?
Genesis, don't miss it.
Where's that at? Yeah, because how I said I had FOMO about not going to see the Sting retirement. I'm not going to do that.
JDC.
For JDC, where we if you look up Genesis 2026, it comes up with the car, the Genesis car. Let me do Genesis 2026 TNA. Guess I don't know if I can go, but I know you can because it's coming from the Curtis Caldwell Center in Garland, Texas.
I don't go anywhere.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump for you, right? How close is that?
I don't know. Not a chance.
What if I fly? If I fly in, will you go to the Genesis 2026 to watch?
I guess I'd have to at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna, but I mean, if I would go,
please don't do that.
I'm not gonna do that.
When is that?
January 17th. January 17th.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I got a
it's the wife's birthday.
Yeah.
Halfway to her birthday. We celebrate it anyway. It's whatever.
I'm washing my hair.
There's probably a game on. There's definitely a game. There's got to be a game on that night, right?
Yeah, the Hoyas are playing Xavier, I think. So, what was I going to say? JDC.
Stop talking about JDC. Stop. If this is an earnest thought about the JDC, please stop. All right, and move on. If it's sarcastic, I'll allow it.
It's a dumb name because JDC sounds like some kind of chemical you put in a vape pipe or something, right? Like
I just think of the JVC Kaboom Box, the sponsor for so many great episodes of Raw is War. That's all I think of.
I think cruising past Angelico's vape shop, and he's got a big sign in the wall that says, "New JDC flavors are here."
Blue raspberry now available. Yeah. You're like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Boysenberry.
Boysenberry.
It's always something wacky. We got the new dragon fruit JDC. Get them before we sell out. Some guy coming out with his little vape pen. Everyone with a vape pen looks like they're doing something nefarious when they go to hit it. Like they look like they're looking around.
Oh, they always look both ways. They look both ways before they hit it.
They hit the little pipe, It's very shady activity. So next up was Stacks.
Your boy.
Stacks. It really is the NXT D team.
It's the D team, man. High Rise, Stacks Lorenzo.
Stacks was run off the show when he became a rat, remember?
Yeah.
And no, because you don't.
Oh, I don't watch the product. As Bully said, I don't watch the product. He's right.
It's Tony Donati or whatever his name is. Tony Tits. Joey
Tony
Ariola's-
D'Angelo. Watch the fucking product, Joe.
He remember he ran him off and Stax hopped in the car in his wrestling gear and peeled off. And Tony Tits returned this week on the pay-per-view with a repackage because they knew that fucking SNL Italian shit wasn't going to get over on the main roster. They came to their senses. And this guy has nothing to do anymore. So he's like a D-teamer. Lexus King, they're stuck with him until his contract runs out. I guess. So he's
didn't know who that was for a long. He's coming out, and I'm like, is that Michael Hayes? I'm like, what the fuck is Michael Penis?
Yes, he looked like Michael Hayes all night.
But he looked like Michael Hayes as Doc Hendricks, and I was like, what is happening here?
Yes.
Like I walked away and I came back, and I'm like, what happened? I'm like, Joe's right. I do need to watch the product. Like, what happened in TNA that Michael Hayes as Doc Hendricks is managing Channing Stax Lorenzo? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And they said Lexus King, and I went, oh, right. Yeah, that guy exists. I forget that he exists. Despite all that aura. Remember when he was sitting in chairs and he had aura and Tony fumbled? Yeah. Despite all that, he's a fifth string D-list, C, whatever you want to, whatever analogy you want to use. Bottom of the barrel.
People are so hungry to dunk on Tony Khan that they earnestly said he fumbled Lexus King. Think about that. Mm-hmm. People typed that into Twitter and sent that to the universe forever, that Tony Khan fumbled Brian Pillman Jr. and meant it. They meant it. That's the level of dementia these people have.
And by the way, it wasn't because of anything because he got out of a chair.
Because he sat in a throne.
Because he sat in a throne and the camera cut to him and people said, oh, aura, vibes.
Aura.
Right. Not because he wrestled. Not because he went in there and had a great wrestling match. No. Because he sat in a chair.
Minus 250, he's in the next round of cuts. Fair odds?
Oh, he's gone. For sure. For sure. He's gone.
So anyway, Stax beats Macklin for the prestigious TNA International title. Macklin bled the hard way. You know, bless Steve Macklin.
He still tries so hard.
He tries so hard.
Bless his heart. In all the demeaning way that you say, bless your heart.
In the way any Southern grandma would say it. Okay? That's how I'm saying it. Because he tries so hard and it doesn't really matter, Lincoln Park. But he tries so hard and he's good. But to come full circle, he has the charisma of Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal.
Yeah.
And it's a problem because the man has negative charisma. He just has nothing. And it's a shame because a guy like that should have charisma. He should have been gifted with charisma. He'd be a star. He'd be a star if he had some charisma because he gives a shit. And he tries really hard. But Stax wins the title. I guess we're never getting Steve Macklin versus the guy from AAA. Remember he attacked him and they never followed up on it.
Yeah.
We're never getting it. Macklin versus Macias. I was looking forward to Macklin versus Macias. Here's the thing about this. I know what your take is going to be. WWE walking all over TNA again, right? Here's the thing. If it's all NXT WWE fans who are helping to fill these buildings, as people suspect, give them what they want, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just fucking give them what they want. Does it mean the show's going to be good? No. It means the show's going to be worse. We have to watch Stax now. And they're calling him Stax, by the way.
Right.
He's no longer chanting Lorenzo. He's Stax.
He's Stax. And in canon, he is engaged to Santino's daughter. It's a central story.
Yeah, correct. That's not kayfabed. They're really dating in real life, but it's also in the story, right? Aren't they really dating in real life?
They're shoot engaged, and now it is also a story as well.
Right. Do you think he's a reference to Stax Edwards, the Goodfellas character played by Samuel L. Jackson, who gets whacked by gets shot in the back of the head. Do you think that has anything to do with it? The mafia connection?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because they probably asked this guy for some names, and he remembered Goodfellas, and he went, Stax. All right, and they went,
What about
sure.
Stax?
Yeah.
But Stax was like the black guy.
Well, yeah, but whatever. They don't think that.
They're not thinking that deep about it?
No.
Okay. We're going to take that coffee to go. So that's why I say just appeal to these people. Then,
yeah.
Right? What fucking difference does it make?
And that's, astute TNA fans have pointed that out for a while, too. During the majority of this relationship, the idea is that you are bringing these WWE talents, these NXT talents onto the show so that, NXT fans start watching TNA and get invested in TNA. They don't care, though. They might come to the shows, but they don't know the TNA people. They don't care about the TNA people. They care about the NXT people. But when something happens in TNA or something, they don't really, those aren't the people that are over. People that are over the NXT wrestlers. The people that are over, exactly like you said, is your Lexus Kings and your Stax.
Well,
and
the Righteous came out and they chanted, "Who are you?"
Yeah, they have no. They are WWE fans that are only going to consume and only care about WWE. And this idea that like you're going to just magically, move all these fans and they're going to start caring about TNA, that hasn't really been seen yet. Because the things that are most over on TNA shows are WWE related things, and the Hardys, which are, I'm barely counting as TNA. The Hardys are, yes, they are currently TNA, but they're over because people remember them from WWE. They're not over because of anything they've done in TNA. So that's an issue, and that's a problem that they have, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. So you're right. Why not?
That's the deal with the devil you make.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Li Ying Li successfully defends the TNA Knockouts title over her friend and partner, Xia Brookside. Very respectful match was the story here.
How so respectful, Joe, that at one point Xia Brookside is punching Yi Ying Li and going, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry," as she's punching her. I just went, "Oh my god, what is this sport? What the fuck happened to the sport I love?"
I don't make Bully Ray come back.
Storytelling, watch the product. You mock
stories.
You mock. What do you know? You mock.
This is what Tony Khan doesn't understand. Stories. It's a story, Rich.
Yeah. Okay.
She doesn't want to punch her friend in the face, but she does it anyway. She's torn. So Li Ying Li successfully defends the title. Danny Luna, who we are told earlier in the show during the injury report, was not cleared for tonight.
I do like the injury report, I will say.
I do like it.
That's a great thing.
And they used it to swerve tonight because they told us she wasn't cleared and wasn't there. But then Danny Lee came out and attacked them. And I believe they had a dog collar match or some shit at the taping. What'd they do with the taping?
They did a dog collar match. Yeah, I think it aired today. I heard it was very bloody. I don't know if it was very good or not. It was Indy Hartwell versus Danny Luna in a dog collar match.
Because Indy Hartwell then made the save when Danny Luna attacked these two.
Correct.
And Indy Hartwell's the one who punched Danny Luna in the face with the chain to knock her out.
Exactly. Storytelling. Bully's right.
So
you got to let that guy know. Well, next time you talk to him, let him know. I apologize. He's right. There's a lot of storytelling going on.
See, here's the thing. Bully Ray understands the business and you don't. And you want to know why?
He was in it.
I was in the business.
In it. How can I know?
I was in this business for 30 years. Were you in the business?
I never took a bump, Bully.
He says that to every caller he disagrees with.
Yeah.
Hold on, Dan. Hold on, Dan from Parsippany. Hold on, I'm talking now. It's my show. Hold on. Were you in the business? No, Bully, but no, just answer my question. Were you in the business? No, Bully, I wasn't in the business. I was in this business for 30 years. That's his argument ender with every caller. Who would listen to that? How can you listen to
an annoying East Coast blowhard? Yeah, I can't imagine. It sounds awful. Yeah, so.
Sounds awful. Terrible.
Sounds like a terrible show. Who'd ever listen to that
Completely full of himself.
Yeah.
Thinks he knows everything.
Yeah, self-centered, overconfident, East Coast Italian blowhard. Yeah, no thank you. Not me.
Fucking LaMonica. What kind of name? Vowel at the end? Fucking wop. Where we leave off here? Oh,
We're told the dog collar match ended with a ref bump. Perfect.
Go, storytelling. No, it didn't. Stop.
That's what Maggie says in the chat room. If someone else can confirm that, we can get double confirmation on
Maggie's
the fact.
a good poster.
Yeah. Can anyone confirm that the dog collar
I
match
think it's
ended
Maggie
with
saying it. I believe it.
Yeah, I definitely believe it. I like to double source these things, but
you need the Swink to say it. Is what you need.
I don't think he's going to come around. Yeah, you scared him off the live shows, I think.
The Swink.
No, he's busy. He's got something else to do.
How do you know?
I talked to the Swink.
Why do you talk to the Swink?
I meet the Swink sometimes.
Well, I feel deceived. That's my mortal enemy. Why are you talking to my mortal enemy?
No, he's good. He means well.
He's my nemesis.
But I think you're frenemies. I think he's your frenemy.
He's my Newman.
He is your Newman. But ultimately, like, you take a bullet for the Swink.
No, I would not.
You would take a bullet for the Swink?
No.
Oh, come on.
What the hell's wrong with you?
I think deep down you like the Swink.
He's my nemesis. Why has he always got to correct me?
Stop being wrong, I guess.
These are insignificant wrongs. Where'd we leave off?
So right. Nobody's confirmed it because nobody watches TNA. We'll wait. If any of you could jump in.
How does a dog collar match end with a ref bump? How's that? I can't even conceive that in my head. That doesn't even make any sense. How can a dog collar match end? Well, I guess, I don't know. El Hijo de Fishman and Mascara Sagrada NG had many ref bumps in their dog collar matches. We didn't complain.
It's true.
But see, they would just beat the shit out of the ref and leave him in a bloody heap. And then...
Yeah, because they wouldn't care. Like, no referee is going to stop us from doing what we want to do.
Right. Yeah. So maybe we should give it a chance. Maybe Danny Luna...
I like Danny Luna, though. She's good.
It was extremely cool.
Indy Hartwell is also a professional wrestler, so...
Barely a professional wrestler. The Rascals defeat Order 4. And I have to say, and this gathered some momentum on social media as well, Special Agent Zero was the standout of this one. This guy, you're going to call me crazy. You got to push this guy. I mean, he looks like the business.
Do you push him as Special Agent Zero, though?
I don't give a fuck what you push him as. He looks like he can kick some ass, which is rare in pro wrestling these days. And then he works like he's kicking ass. His shit looks good. It looks stiff. He's got a great look. He's put together, as my father would say. This guy's put together. Look at this guy.
You do know he's 45 years old, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just make sure.
Bill Collier. Who cares? Who cares? He's fresh. He's unexposed. I'm telling you right now, this is not a bit. I would push this guy. I'd give it a try.
I mean, there's worse people to push, for sure. Frankie Kazarian's one, for sure.
Anyway, I thought he was the standout in this match. You know, there's bodies flying all over the place. Lots of wacky spots. None wackier than the strum of the guitar. And the Drifter enters the scene on a horse. Now, the horse only galloped about a foot and a half before the Drifter
This is all real,
climbed
by the way.
off.
Yeah, how could Joe possibly make this up? I promise you, what he's saying is real.
The horse gallops about a foot and a half behind Mustafa Ali, who's facing the ring. The horse handler was very nervous. Did you notice the horse?
Yeah,
handler?
he was like, "This thing's gonna go. This horse is gonna run into the crowd, and I'm gonna have an insurance
He
night
was thinking to
from
himself,
hell." Yeah,
the $150 they're paying me all of a sudden doesn't seem worth it. As he was very nervous about the horse, the Drifter gets off the horse. The horse looks like it's going to stampede. It turns to the left. The handler is very nervous about this. So then they tie a lasso around Mustafa Ali's feet. Tie the other end of the handler ties the other end of the lasso to the front of the horse. The Drifter gets back on. And then the handler is like, okay, are you ready? Right? It's just so bad. And he's like, yeah. He's like, all right, are you sure you're ready? The handler was so nervous about this. He was having so many second thoughts. The horse walks off and they drag Mustafa Ali away by the lasso. And I know people think I'm making all of this up, but I'm not. This all really happened on the pay-per-view. And it wasn't nearly as cool as it sounds because really the horse really moved 2 feet in either direction.
Yeah. And the handler was very nervous the entire time.
The handler
too.
was shitting his pants.
Yeah.
That handler was shitting his starched Wranglers. There's no doubt about it. And the Rascals win. TNA Tag Team titles. The Hardys defeat the High Rise, Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont. Not much of a match here between the Hardys and these guys.
Not much of a match, no.
Not much of a match between these two. This is where, after the Hardys won, the Righteous came out. My boy, the Balloon Guy, same song, same finger snapping.
Yep.
Now, I was finger snapping. You're finger snapping right
They had
now.
a good little video, too. Good little pre-tape. I'm like, oh, all right.
And these mutant WWE fans had the audacity to chant, "Who are you?" at these men. WWE Dutch was not amused by this. Balloon Guy was not amused by this. And they just had to tough it out. They had to no-sell it. So your next tag team program is the Hardys versus the Righteous.
I'm in. I like the
Sure.
Righteous.
So do
the
I.
Righteous, yeah.
So do I.
Don't really like 2025 Matt Hardy or 2025 Jeff Hardy, but, whatever gets the Righteous on my television, that's all right with me.
X Division, Leon Slater defeats AJ Francis.
It was okay.
A lot happening.
I had higher hopes for this match than what ultimately happened. Really, it was all about. It was all about. Yeah, Rich Swann came out. There was some YouTube guy that I don't know, and don't explain to me. I don't care who he is. I don't care how many followers he has.
No one cares.
I don't even know how many. I don't know. I don't care. He's got 5.9 million people on Twitch. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Some dude that I don't know that I'm never gonna watch. That's irrelevant to me. Came out distracted. Leon Slater for a minute, but then Rich Swann came out and hit AJ Francis with the title belt, and that's how Leon Slater won the match. So,
Yep.
Cool.
So I thought the work was fine. It's very clear that Leon Slater's WWE bound
I hate
the
it.
second it's legal,
I hate it so much.
and that sucks. So, and then we had Frankie Kazarian against JDC Boysenberry, TNA World Title. As I said, I'm sorry. I can't believe I forgot this. First, hot young Briley came out in a turkey suit for some reason and talked about his brother, Nick Nemeth.
Yeah. It's because they do the annual turkey match, and he got the suit put on him this year. So.
All right, that was weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know why he's still wearing the turkey suit.
Why is he still wearing the turkey
I don't
suit?
know. I don't know. It's December. You can take the turkey suit off.
So you have this man cutting a dead serious promo in a turkey suit, talking about his brother, Nick Nemeth.
Mm-hmm.
So Frankie Kazarian wins. Do we need a ref bump to beat the JDC when he's retiring?
I know. I saw that.
Do we need that?
They did the dipsy do into the corner, and the ref's in the corner, and he collapses, and I'm like, come on.
He's retiring.
Just beat Dirty Dango. What are you doing?
He's not going to be in the company in a month. This is where you beat. This is the perfect time for a heel wrestler to just beat a guy.
Yeah. Just beats
when
him.
he's-
And
just beat
JDC
him.
goes, damn it.
Yeah.
This is my only chance, my last chance, and I just didn't do it. I failed.
And it's a rare opportunity to put a heel over clean.
Can't do it.
A great chance to do it because the guy's leaving the company.
Yeah, can't do it.
You can, though.
Oh.
You can do whatever you want.
Oh.
But they had to tell a story.
No, stories. That's not a story, Joe. What's the story if Frankie Kazarian, your Hero World Champion, defeats a guy on his last legs of his career?
Because now you're really mad at Frankie.
Yeah.
He ruined the moment.
Yeah.
We all wanted JDC to take home the TNA World Title.
Mm-hmm. And his final resolution. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So then the NXT Outsiders appear. and they attack everybody. In the ensuing brawl, Stax lays out his father-in-law, Santino Marella.
Yeah, he's going to be in some trouble here.
So fans will be greeted by the NXT D team invading, world champion Frankie Kazarian, Santino Marella, authority figure. This is what you're going to see when you turn on NXT on AMC. No one's going to be watching this shit in a month.
No, they're going to watch the first episode and go, wow, this sucks. I'm done.
Yeah,
and they're going to be done.
I'm out. They're going to do a fraction of whatever the NXT audience is on CW. They have to completely revamp this show, but they can't. They're stuck. So, but WWE will do everything in their power, though.
Absolutely.
They'll load it up. They're going to load it up. Maybe send AJ Styles back over there. Who knows? Not like he's Jim Londos at the gate himself, but,
but
they'll try something.
It'll be something. It'll be something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hook. If nothing
Jim
else.
Londos.
So that was TNA Final Resolution.
Yeah.
Wrestling's great. I love the wrestling. I love it so much. Every week I watch so much great wrestling. It just reinvigorates my love. Like when Brad Pitt meets with when Billy Bean meets with in that scene in Moneyball. They argue over the lineup for the 100th time. He's like, you just really reinvigorate my love for the game. And he storms out.
Art Howe. Isn't it still Art Howe at
Art
that time?
Howe, yeah. Who once pet my dog? That's a shoot. Yeah.
Oh, the Art Howe pet your dog?
Yeah, I've told this story. It was Bark at the Park night at the Astros game.
Yeah.
And he was doing the post game at the podium in the concourse. And my dog got loose and ran right up to him. And she just did, Madeline, she climbed up on his leg and he was good about it. He was laughing and petting my dog, I had to step in frame to go get her, yeah. So Art Howe pet my dog.
That's pretty good. That's a good story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we told you guys some good stories here on this episode of the Flagship Podcast. Do not wait around. We will not be doing Instant Reaction Live after John Cena's retirement match.
What?
No, we're going to cover that next week. Next week on the Flagship. I'm actually going to see the Sklar's in live and in person in the flesh. So.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, pretty good.
They're going to finish each other's sentences.
It's going to be great. They're twins, so they finish each other.
Yeah.
It's an acquired taste.
It's a very coordinated bit.
It is.
It's like
good bits.
One guy starts the joke, the other guy does the
twins.
punchline.
They're twins. So.
Yeah. But one guy usually has a beard and the other one
they dropped that. That used to be the case. Now they almost look the same too. I think it's like one has glasses and the other doesn't, or something like that.
So they're back to looking the same.
Kind of. Yeah.
For a while there, they were like, we don't want to look the same.
Yeah. Like Jason had a beard or whatever. I forget which one, if it was Randy or Jason that had the beard, but one of them had a big beard. The other one didn't. So it was obvious who the two was. And then they just decided, fuck it. The whole shtick is that we look the same. So, so no, I will not be around Saturday night, but we'll cover that next week on the Flagship, as well as many, many other things. That will be next week on the Flagship. This week, we wrapped up here, but
Rams Seahawks on Thursday. So,
oh, shoot. Okay. Well,
big game. Probably going to determine not only the division, but the number one seed.
So we won't be back on Thursday.
It'll free you up to watch it as well. So there you go.
Sure. So we will not be on Thursday this week. We'll try to figure out what we can do to adjust for that. But hey, you're going to get a Flagship no matter what next week at some point. But hey, flagshippatreon.com if you want bonus content. Thursday Dynamite review just went out. You said you thought it was a very good Thursday Dynamite review. I have not listened yet, but I'm sure it is. That's our weekly AEW recap and review show that you do each and every week. So that is the Thursday Dynamite review, available on the $5 tier at flagshippatreon.com. We have a $5 tier. We also have a $10 tier. The $10 tier gets you live flagships. You could have listened to this show live with all of our technical issues at the beginning and all the uncensored stuff that's going to get edited away. You got that on the $10 tier if you listen live. If you're listening on the free tier, you missed all that. It all sounds perfect and clear, and we didn't say the stuff that we edited off the live show, but no. You just get the free show, but you can get the live show if you go to the $10 tier. But also the $10 tier unlocks everything we've ever done, all the written content we've ever done, all the audio content we've ever done, all the instant reaction lives, everything we've ever done is all there on the $10 tier at Flagship Patreon. And I do want to mention this since obviously we're coming up to Christmas. You can gift a Flagship Patreon subscription as well. Many of you have already done it. So if you have a friend or a family member or a colleague, whatever, that you want and say, you know what, they like wrestling, but they're listening to all the wrong wrestling shows. They don't listen to the right stuff. They should listen to the Flagship like I do. You can gift them a subscription, and they can get the live Flagship. They can get Instant Reaction Lives. They can get everything. So you can gift whatever subscription you want for whatever length you want as well. So if you want to give them a $5 subscription for a month, you can do that, $5. You want to give them a $10 subscription for 2 years, you can do that as well. Whatever you want to do, you can customize the months. Either one of the tiers, if you want to do the $5 tier or the $10 tier, does not matter. But a lot of you have done that already, and we really like that because that's how we grow. Mostly, we don't do advertising. We don't do social media. Word of mouth is how we grow. So whatever can help us grow will help us out greatly. So thank you guys who have gifted subscriptions to your family, friends, or colleagues. We really do appreciate it. And if you're listening to this and you want to do that, it's very easy. FlagshipPatreon.com to do that. So that is it for us. That is Joe. I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.
My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voices of Wrestling Network.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network listeners. I am Jeff Hawkins, co-host of Shake Them Ropes, with a very special announcement. If it's been a while or you've never listened to us before, the original gang is back. Myself and Rob McCarran, back talking wrestling. We have no idea where this show's going to go, where we're going to keep any of the old bits or any of the old things in there. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a journey, and we'd like for you to come along with us. Only on Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.